West here, reporting from Houston, Texas for Climate Desk. Now, one of the biggest uncertainties in climate science right now is the role of clouds. What better way to work that part out than flying right through them? That's what NASA scientists aboard this airplane think. Welcome to NASA's biggest airborne laboratory. You're coming with us today on an 8-hour NASA flight mission.
When you read these big IPCC climate assessments, what's the biggest uncertainty? There's two, right? The role of aerosols and clouds. Clouds is probably bigger than aerosols.
That is a piece of a puzzle that right now we are missing.
You can't get the models right if you don't understand the chemistry and the process.
Now we're being told we've got to get on. The doors are about to shut, so let's go aboard. Every time you turn on the weather, every time you hear a climate change prediction, that information has to come from somewhere. And it starts by getting sucked out of the air from planes like this.
So this mission is to particularly try to understand the emissions from the surface, so mostly biogenic emissions, so from trees and other plants.
Right now we're flying to our very first part of this experiment on the DC-8. Over Arkansas, there's a particularly pungent bouquet of emissions that scientists are interested in measuring.
Well, these emissions lead to both aerosols and to molecules that both destroy and create ozone. So these are very important things to understand for climate studies.
How it will manifest itself, it will be in more accurate and more reliable predictions.
So what we're doing is taking a series of flyovers, each at a different level of the atmosphere, scooping up those emissions, testing them, and hopefully scientists are going to see exactly what's in this column of air all the way up.
The data that we collect in one flight can keep busy 60 scientists and students for 3 years, 4 years. We're still studying data from data collected 20 years ago.
In fact, this particular mission today is its most heavily equipped in its nearly 30 years of service. Each one of these consoles here is a specially equipped scientific instrument designed to collect all sorts of different data in real time.
And this instrument here tracks the sun.
We're looking at mist chambers. They're used to strip soluble gases.
This black line is the CO2. It's about 390 ppm right now.
We're putting these filters in the bags that we've got the aerosols that we trapped out of a certain amount of air. And so we're sampling up here about 150 liters a minute.
That ultimately flows back into the operational models. It flows back into what goes on TV every day.
Anyway, I got to get this sample going.
You do it. It's a busy man at work. We can't let him rest. Well, get this. We've just spent 2 hours crisscrossing this one cloud formation. In, back out again, back in again.
Then they grow, and we track them as long as we can, and then we let it go.
Even one cloud can hold a host of answers to the mysteries of climate change.
The patterns of, where the clouds are, what type of clouds we see, what kind of weather systems they're associated with it, that'll all be shifting in a shifting climate, in a world with climate change.
Then the big spark is this, is when we actually get the meat on the grill. And then it will be some time to process it.
What the frack?
What the frack?
What the frack?
What the frack?
President Obama, are you fracking kidding me?
Reopen the EPA studies. In Texas, Wyoming, and Pennsylvania.
Fracking pollutes our oceans.
Fracking poisons our water.
Fracking makes climate change worse.
Fracking relies on toxic chemicals that cause cancer.
Ban fracking now.
Ban fracking now.
Go on. Ban it.
Ban fracking now.
Please.
Hey, sports fans of America, what do you say? Welcome to the Bill Press Show. Here we go. It's a big Tuesday, October 13. A big day because today's the day of the big debate. On CNN at 8:30 Eastern when the Democratic candidates take the stage out in Las Vegas. It's the first Democratic debate on stage, of course. Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Martin O'Malley, Lincoln Chafee, and Jim Webb. Yes, indeed. It's a big night for every one of them with lots at stake. Lincoln Chafee and Jim Webb have to prove that they should even be talked about after tonight. For Martin O'Malley, it's his one chance to make sure it's a three-man race or three-person race and not just a two-person race. Hillary Clinton has to hold her own and prove that she deserves to be the front runner, and Bernie Sanders his first chance in front of a big national audience to show that I'm serious. I may be a Democratic socialist, but I can lead this Democratic Party, and I've got better ideas and have been there sooner and longer and stronger than Hillary Clinton was. A lot at stake tonight, and of course, everybody's going to be thinking about the guy who's not there. Joe Biden. Will he jump in later or not? Bernie Sanders, by the way, got a great big boost yesterday with the endorsement of Congressman Keith Ellison from Minnesota, co-chair, good friend of this program, often a guest here in studio with us, and co-chair of the Progressive Caucus. Meanwhile, in the House of Representatives, everything is on hold while Republicans wait to see if Paul Ryan will indeed run for Speaker of the House. If he doesn't, it's going to be just total, even more chaos because nobody else is a strong candidate. And also in the House, mounting pressure for Republicans to shut down the Benghazi committee now that even Kevin McCarthy has admitted it is nothing but a political witch hunt. All of that you're going to want to talk about, so give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. And it's good to have you on board this Tuesday.
This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday.
It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should.
Okay, so who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
On your TV and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
14 hours, 24 minutes, flat out for the Democratic debate tonight.
Here we go.
Get in front of your tube right now and don't move.
Park it right there.
Park it.
Don't
Otherwise,
move.
somebody could take your place.
That's right.
All right.
Don't miss anything.
Hello, everybody. Here it is, the big day we've been waiting for. Yes, indeed. Tuesday, October 13. I think the moral of the story may be, whatever they do, don't give any more debates to CNN. We can't stand it.
Telling you, man.
They are having fun with it, doing anything they can to boost those ratings. Hey, that's what it's all about. What the hell? Not being critical, just having fun with them. It is a Tuesday, October 13. I think I already said that. This is the Bill Press Show. We are in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, and we are there with you, alongside you, on the couch, at your kitchen table, in the car, wherever you happen to be, listening or watching today. Good to have you with us. And we've got lots and lots to talk about, and lots of good people to help us do it, including all of you, of course. Thank you for listening on your local progressive talk radio station. Thank you for listening on one of the great radio apps. I keep telling you about them because that way you can take us with you on the radio anywhere you go. The TuneIn app or iHeartRadio. We're on both. Both work. Both are free. Download them and follow us wherever you go. On television, here we are on Free Speech TV. But again, you can take us with you on your electronic device anywhere in the world on TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. We have friends who are vacationing in Spain, not Cyprian, somebody, other friends, and heard from them yesterday, watching in Madrid. So there you go. They watch here, they watch over there, don't have to miss a program. That's the way it works.
What a time to be alive.
I know. Isn't it great? Yeah. We are everywhere. The team, Peter Ogburn and Jamie Benson. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Happy Debate Day.
Happy Debate Day, indeed. Yes, Ray Rogers is here, ready to hear from you. Your calls at 866-55-PRESS, and Cyprian Bolding, our videographer, here on the phone. On the phone, what am I saying? On the video cam. And keeping us the pictures out there on Free Speech TV and on TawkrTV. So the most exciting thing about the debate tonight, of course, is not, if you watch CNN, it's not who's there, it's who's not there.
That's right.
They not only have the clock that started yesterday morning, right, and now has gone down from 39 hours
Bill,
to...
it's 14 hours, 21 minutes, and 8 seconds as of now. We'll give you updates all throughout the morning.
All right, good. So they're not on the clock, but they have the empty podium. The podium. So there are 5 podiums. There are 6 podiums. 5 are accounted for. The one they're hoping that Joe Biden will still take. And they've been talking more about Joe Biden. As Stephen Colbert pointed out last night, they've been talking more about the guy who's not there than the 5 who are. This is Jim Acosta, who covers the White House for CNN, does a damn good job too. A friend of mine, and he's put in the position by CNN of talking what it would be like. As Stephen Colbert's playing this last night, what it would be like if Joe shows up.
Will the Air Force Two suddenly start flying this way, start flying westward toward Las Vegas on Tuesday night? A dramatic landing at McCarran International Airport. The speeding motorcade over to the Wynn Hotel. Biden with the aviator glasses put on. I can see a situation, John, where he pulls in that yellow Corvette with the aviators on and just says, let's do this thing. It'll be fun to watch. It'll be fascinating political television if the vice president decides to join in.
Colbert.
That would be fascinating. It would be fascinating political television. And it's a great new strategy for cable news, describing things more compelling than what you're watching now. CNN, it could get interesting.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's pretty boring now, but boy, this is what it could be like. Yeah, this is not what's happening. This is what could be happening if boom, 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 boom.
If we had it our way, this is what the news would look like.
Yeah. I love it. So suddenly he's in the motorcade, but then he pulls up in the yellow Corvette.
That's crazy.
With the aviator sunglasses on.
Of course, with the aviator sunglasses on. Oh, man, I got to tell you. You know what? I think Biden's ultimate ploy today, the most dramatic thing he could do would be announce that he's going to run today.
Yeah.
And not show up.
And just not go to the debate.
You know what? It would just take all the air out of that balloon.
Sure would.
And that's all they would be talking about is,
Wouldn't that be funny?
What would Joe say? WWJD, right? What would Joe do?
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Let's get right into it. Arthur, of course, it's Tuesday. It's Arthur Delaney Day and Igor Volsky Day here at the Bill Press Show. Plus, we got Democratic strategist Peter Fenn. Maggie Haberman's one of the best political writers in the country today for the New York Times is going to be here as well. And Wes Lowery from the Washington Post. Great lineup. But first...
This is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news, Bill. This story is flat out insane, ridiculous. You're not going to believe it.
I don't like it already.
All right, so there were two friends. They're working together in a Florida hospital, and they started talking about how they grew up, and they realized that they had a lot in common, and their stories were awfully similar. Turns out they were long-lost sisters. Here's the whole story really quickly. They grew up in Korea. Their parents died. They were orphaned. So they were put in an orphanage, and then they were adopted. One went to Virginia, one went to New York. Eventually, they made their way down to Florida, where they both became nurses. They were both working in the same hospital. They were both working the same shift. They became very good friends, as I mentioned, and when they started talking about where they came from and how they grew up, it turns out they were sisters.
No.
So they became best friends after having moved. Isn't that crazy?
It is.
It's that unbreakable bond.
I'm telling you, they found each other, man. There's no way around it.
It's a movie.
In fact, they were interviewed about it, and one of the sisters says, we couldn't even write this story. You couldn't even turn this into a movie because it's so unbelievable. But they're now together. And not only are they friends, they are reunited.
You know what's funny about that? If they had known they were sisters, they probably would have been fighting all their lives.
They'd have hated each other.
Yeah, right.
Playoff baseball yesterday. Man, oh man, there were some good games yesterday.
Cubbies.
Let's go all around the league. First of all, you mentioned the Cubbies. Yes, indeed. They beat the Cardinals to 6 home runs for the Cubs in that game. They won it 8-6. They now lead that series 2-1. Royals and the Astros. The Astros nearly closed out the Royals yesterday, but the Royals rallied to beat them 9-6. That forces a tiebreaker ball game. The Rangers and the Blue Jays. Blue Jays on top of that, 8-4. That series is also tied at 2-2. And the Mets got revenge on the LA Dodgers after Chase Utley's slide into Ruben Tejada. They brought it back to New York, and they whipped the Dodgers yesterday, 13-7. The Mets lead that series 2-1.
Chase Utley did not play, right?
Chase Utley did not play in that game. And I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, there was a story about a man, he's a Google employee, and he was surfing the web one night, and he found out that he could buy Google.com. It was actually up for sale. They hadn't renewed it. He bought it for $1. But he was a Google employee, so he went to Google, and he said, hey, guys, I bought this. I'd like to give it back to you. They gladly took it back from him, and do you think he was punished?
I hope he was rewarded.
He was rewarded. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. They call it a bug bounty. he found a bug in the system that allowed him, anybody could have bought this Google.com domain. He found this bug, and so yesterday they announced they rewarded him with what they call a bug bounty. No word on how much he was paid by Google, but they did say, look, we're happy you found this oversight.
Yeah.
We have now fixed this oversight, and because you could have saved us a lot of money potentially, we're going to give you a little taste.
Yeah.
So
right.
There you go. Bug bounty.
I was so intrigued by your stories, I forgot to mix up my cocktail.
I was going to say, I was wondering. Man, I really had your attention today.
I suddenly realized how thirsty I am. So all right.
Should have given you some more time there.
Yeah.
Will you keep going while I mix
You
my
got it.
cocktail? I'm not ready.
I'm just going to say, one thing I will say about the Google stories, it shows the difference between, Edward Snowden and the United States government and Google and their employees, right? Instead of punishing this guy, they rewarded him, right? They fixed the problem.
I saw a story. I think it's sort of like an Onion story the other day where President Obama pardoned Edward Snowden, and he walked into the ballroom and got a huge rousing, standing ovation when he walked in, coming back from Moscow and everything. Of course, it was all made up, but that's what ought to happen.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
Indeed. All right, we want to know what you're ready for this debate tonight, which is now, of course, only 14 hours, 13 minutes, and 58 seconds away.
Every second counts.
Indeed. You know the drill. It's the first Democratic debate in Las Vegas. CNN tonight, 8:30 Eastern is when it starts, which means it's not going to be over till about 11 o'clock.
Oh, boy.
We may or may not be here tomorrow morning. So we better talk about it today. And there's a lot at stake. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. A lot at stake for everybody there. And the questions are, wherever you want to go. Who do you think's going to do best? Who you're really counting on to do well? I keep getting emails from people all over the country. How do you think Bernie's going to do? How do you think Hillary's going to do? What's Hillary got to do? What's Bernie got to do? Martin O'Malley. I think he's got more riding on this debate than anybody else because, this is his chance to stay alive or not. He's a good guy. He's got good ideas. He was a good governor. He's a good candidate. He's got a lot of appeal. He's young. He should be doing better than he is. He hasn't been, partly because all the oxygen's been burned up by Bernie, oxygen to the left of Hillary. But if Martin O'Malley wants to really stay in the mix, I think he's got to do well tonight. He can, and I think he will. Link Chafee and Jim Webb, I think they're like if this were a Republican debate, they'd be at the kids' table, right? Yeah. And then you'd never see them again. But one of them could pop out. If one did, I think it would be more likely Jim Webb than Link Chafee, but I don't expect it from either one of them. Hillary's got the most pressure, I believe, tonight because she's the front runner, clearly. Bernie's ahead of her in New Hampshire. She's still ahead in Iowa, and she's far ahead in the national polls, far ahead in the Super Tuesday states once you get in the South, out of Iowa and New Hampshire. And, of course, she's former First Lady, former Senator from New York, former Secretary of State. So has had more experience on that national debate stage than anybody else there for sure. So she can't make a mistake. She can't trip up. And then Bernie, this is his chance. He's got a lot riding on it, too, because it's the first time that he's been embraced by the Democratic Party, been on a national debate stage, had a national TV audience up against Hillary Clinton. Can he hold his own? Can he show a little personality, a little humor? He certainly will show, I think, his authenticity. And he'll show his knowledge of the issues. So I think it could be very good. Anderson Cooper is just one moderator tonight. He's not their top political guy. And they may have some questions, I guess, phoned in or in internet questions or something mixed into the bunch. But basically, it's going to be Anderson Cooper just asking questions. So a lot riding on this debate tonight. The audience will probably not be as big as the Republican debate, only because it's not a clown show.
Right.
I mean, look. There's not a Donald Trump, let's face it.
I was excited to tune into the Republican debates.
To see the clown show.
Yeah,
right.
Right. I mean, I'm excited to watch tonight's debate for a completely different reason. I don't anticipate there are going to be a lot of personal jabs thrown between Hillary and Bernie and Martin O'Malley. I don't think, Jim Webb is going to make a comment about Bernie's hair or appearance the way Donald Trump does.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be that type of atmosphere.
It could be just a pretty wonky, serious debate.
That's what I'm expecting.
I'm also sure that CNN is going to try to pit one candidate against the other. They're going to try to get, Jim Webb to attack Hillary to attack Bernie, boom, 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 boom. I don't think the candidates are going to go for that. Well, I don't think Bernie and Hillary are going to go for that, and I'm sure about Jim Webb. So open it up. Range of questions. What do you expect tonight? What do you want to see tonight? Who do you think is going to do to really shine tonight? What's Hillary got to do? What's Bernie got to do? The number 866-55-PRESS here. Debate day.
Here we go.
We're finally here. Let's talk about it. Get ready for it.
Your progressive headquarters for the 2016 election. This is The Bill Press Show.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To
not look the other way.
It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us,
to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, Free Speech TV world, it's Mama and the Mooks here at the Stephanie Miller Show.
Hello. Good morning.
Seinfeld was about nothing. I think the Stephanie Miller Show is about everything.
A little bit everything.
Yeah, a little
it's
bit.
kind of everything like thrown into a blender and we hit frappe.
Right.
With wine poured in.
Right. Senators, fart jokes, politics, pop culture, entertainment. Drinking, random stray thoughts. It's what all the hip kids are talking about.
Yep.
We have the smartest, funniest people in the country on this show, do we not?
We absolutely do.
Right?
Our sexy liberal army of callers call in every day to tell us all about it.
There you go. And some right-wingers that Travis particularly enjoys talking to.
They're my favorites.
Okay. You can watch us every weekday from 9 to noon Eastern or 6 to 9 Pacific, which is really early. But we still, we try to, we're still pulling in people like Rob Reiner, Lily Tomlin, Frangela, you name it. You can only get it here at the Stephanie Miller Show. Mama, Mooks, fancy celebrities.
And everything.
And fart jokes.
Free Speech TV.
same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
The most valuable morning radio show, according to The Nation magazine. This is The Bill Press Show.
25 minutes after the hour, looking ahead to tonight's Democratic debate. Arthur Delaney from Huffington Post coming up in the next half hour. A little breaking news this morning on the debate front. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand from New York telling CNN this morning Joe Biden will run. I don't know whether she's talked to the senator, to the vice president, or maybe she just knows him. By the way, I think she's right. And I wouldn't be surprised if he announced today. Again, that would be the ultimate coup.
Oh, my God.
Right. Let's say hello down in Charleston, South Carolina. Hello, Ike. How you doing?
Hey, I'm still above water, so everything's good.
I was just going to ask you, boy, I hope that scene is over. Huh?
Yeah, it's all good. At least for me here, it's just made for a lot of work.
What do you think tonight, Ike? What are you looking for?
I want to write.
You there, Ike?
What?
Oh, no, we lost Ike.
No, he's in and out.
We lost his cell phone. You there, Ike?
Damn cell phone.
That's all right, yeah.
All right, let's all chip in and buy Ike a new cell phone, huh?
I'm telling you, man.
Can we do that? Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, okay. Yeah. Oh, that's too bad. Anyhow, because Ike always is right on point.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing is going to be for me how Bernie contrasts his positions with Hillary's positions without attacking her or without being like negative, which I think he can do, and he has done. And the point is, these are things that he has always believed in. She has now kind of come around to the feast.
Yeah,
and
look,
she's going to have maybe to explain herself a little bit.
As she herself will talk about, she has evolved on a lot of issues, and they're not what they have always been.
Right.
So, yeah, absolutely. I could easily see Bernie turning that into something without making it nasty.
Tom is out in Durant, Oklahoma. Hey, Tom. Look.
Hi. How are you?
Good. What do you think about tonight?
Well, is what I was wanting to ask is if y'all think that this debate is going to be, CNN is going to direct it more towards issues, or is it going to be more like the Republican debate where they didn't ask about real issues? They just kind of asked questions around that. And I was wondering how y'all felt about that.
I got to tell you, Tom, I think you're onto something. I believe that CNN will try to make it a personality fest. They will try to make it, back and forth between the candidates, get the candidates to snipe at each other. I think that will fail. I don't think Bernie and Hillary will take the bait. I think they will stick to the issues. And I can see Bernie right away just saying, that's a stupid thing. I'm not going to go there. Here's what I think about
is
that
the
issue.
Bill Press Show.
I am your toilet, so how do you do? I take away your wee and the odd number 2. For a quiet moment, I'll always be there, bringing you troubles. You don't even have to care. Oh, think about the things you put me through. Things you put me through that I've been through you. Stuff from your body I'll happily take. Liquid or solid, whatever you make. When you think of all the things that I do, it's time to say thanks to your Lou. If I wasn't there anymore, you can only imagine disaster. I am a lifesaver, and that is not a lie. Where I don't exist, thousands So next time you have to do a poo or a wee, thank the sanitary saints that you have me. When you think of all the things that I do, it's time to say thanks to your Lou. La 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 la. It's time to say thank you to your Lou.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
33 minutes after the hour, now 13 hours only, 57 minutes and 56 minutes and 55 seconds before the Democratic debate tonight. So excited we can hardly stand it. Arthur Delaney, here he is chomping at the bit. I'm surprised, Arthur, you're not already home on the couch.
Breaking news now, there are only 40 seconds until...
Oh, no.
I'm going to be right here in this chair all the way until the end of the debate.
I can't move because you might. Yeah, I can't. You might miss something.
I don't want to
right?
miss a thing.
Right.
You'll pay for your whole seat, but you only need the edge. Democratic debate. Tuesday.
Yes. Do you think Bernie and Hillary are already there? You know. Getting the makeup on.
Yeah. You got to get there early.
Pounding their lockers.
Right. Suiting up.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. I picture Bernie is already dressed in his suit, just sitting in a chair, just sitting there, just waiting. Just waiting almost 14 hours. I'm going to be sitting here ready to go.
The United States is an oligarchy. Oligarchy.
I'm practicing my lines.
All right.
I'm ready to go.
All right.
Oligarchy.
We'll get Arthur. So, Arthur, what are you expecting tonight? Fireworks?
No, it won't be fireworks like the Republican debates. I don't expect. Because the incentive to attack Hillary Clinton, the far and away front runner, isn't that strong. Bernie Sanders is he's just not campaigning that way.
Not going to.
Yeah, he's made it clear he does not want to be rude because it's not his style.
He wants to talk about issues.
You're right. He's having this policy-oriented, dignified campaign. And Martin O'Malley, Lincoln Chafee, I think they might rather have a cabinet position in a Clinton administration than really bash Clinton. Though there is the small incentive to have like a breakout moment I don't think they would try to achieve that by being nasty. And it was nastiness that made these Donald Trump debates such ratings bonanzas.
And they're clearly what both Fox News and CNN wanted. And they will try to do that again tonight, I believe. CNN will.
Right.
I'm just not sure the candidates will play along.
It's just not as fractious a primary, so I would be very surprised if it's that exciting. But you never know. Something crazy could happen. You've got to tune in.
All right. Let's say hello to Ronald out in Arcata, California. Hey, Ronald, up early on the West Coast. What do you think, Ronald?
Yes, I know you're coming here soon, Eureka.
Yes, indeed. I'm going to see you up there on the 24th.
Right. Well,
are you going to come by?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but I think...
Wait. What?
I live in Monterey. I'm just visiting right here.
Oh, I see.
But let me tell you, I don't think it'll be fractious, but I think the truth may come out by mistake, as they said with Kevin McCarthy, and people might actually say, well, Hillary, and even if Joe Biden comes in, you two are responsible for this disastrous Libya and Syria policy. Bernie Sanders doesn't even have to criticize you. He can just criticize your war policy. Look at the mess we're in. So I think that truth might come out by mistake. So I hope it does.
Well, certainly Bernie can say, I was against the Iraq war from the beginning, right? Never voted for it and then turned around and said it was a bad idea. I think the inconsistencies in Hillary are fair game.
And I think the Iraq war would be more of a talking point for her opponents than what she did as Secretary of State. Though that is also probably material for these other people on the stage.
Breaking news, by the way. Donald Trump says he will be live tweeting during the debate.
Oh,
so
wow.
I know you needed to know that.
Well, we are now down to 13 hours and 52 minutes.
Thank you for keeping us up to date. Hey, Ronald, thanks so much for the call. Arcata, California, which is where the Humboldt State is, which is just north of Eureka.
Okay.
And yes, I'm going to be out there on the 24th. That's a week from this Saturday, doing a fundraiser for the Humboldt County Library Foundation.
Nice.
In Eureka. I haven't been in Eureka a long time, so I'm really excited about going out there. And
that sounds like a very civic thing you're doing out there. Raising money for the library, great.
Nothing more important. Well, there are a lot of important things, but it is a very important cause. I'm a big supporter of libraries. Yeah, I'm very excited to go. And you probably don't know where Eureka is, but you go to San Francisco, you think you're in Northern California, you ain't seen nothing yet. There's a lot of territory still to go in California. And then Eureka is way up. But then even past Eureka, you got Yreka.
Bill, I was in California the other day on Saturday for Politicon.
Oh, you were in Politicon.
Yes, I was talent at Politicon. I had a badge that said talent.
Talent?
Oh.
Are you not entertained?
Listen, let me tell you, having lived in Los Angeles a long time, they give out talent badges in Los Angeles to almost anybody. There's a lot of people.
Gee whiz, Bill.
There's a lot of people walking around in L.A., so-called talent. Anyhow, well, good for you. Where you were in L.A., right? At the Politicon.
At the Politicon.
And what was your role, Mr. Talent?
I moderated a panel with Bill Burton, former Obama administration and Obama super PAC, Dennis Kucinich, and Clay Aiken, who people probably remember from his failed attempt to unseat Renee Elmers in North Carolina's 2nd District last year.
But we remember him before from...
That was the joke. He's really famous.
All right, I'm sorry, yes.
He's really famous.
I was going to say, I didn't remember that at all. All I remember is that stupid show.
So there was also a screening of a great documentary series that he was in. It aired on the Esquire network, and they followed him around during this campaign, in which he has a terrible time realizing the DCCC, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, wants him to spend 40 hours a week on the phone, and he tells them, you guys can kiss my A and
apples.
Kiss my apples.
Yeah. And
this came up on the panel, and Bill Burton had worked for the DCCC, and things got a little testy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so it was probably the best panel of the entire Politicon.
I'm sure it was, Arthur. And what was Dennis Kucinich? What was his point?
he was on the Aiken side of this, and he sort of spurned call time himself because he talked about his ability to raise money online and through the grassroots just by being very bold and liberal. And the DCCC is more known for supporting moderate candidates and trying to flip Republican districts. So, and also Kucinich and Aiken were just sort of railing at the whole idea of a party apparatus that pushes you in that direction and makes you suck up to the donor base. And so Burton was like, the DCCC is filled with hardworking Americans who love this country. How dare you? And Dennis Kucinich was like, what is this, a stump speech? And then as moderator, I had to move on. Had to go to other topics.
What was the overall theme of the panel? Money
in politics.
Oh,
so it was very apropos that we were talking about the DCCC.
You have written about this Benghazi committee too here in the House, which Kevin McCarthy sort of pulled the plug on, really, didn't he? Or ripped the mask off.
I'm still kind of amazed at the fallout over the Kevin McCarthy comments. He said, "Well, the committee's been a success. Look at Hillary Clinton's poll numbers and how they've been damaged by the email that this committee helped bring to light."
Yeah, people know.
As if people didn't know that the committee was a Hillary attack vehicle.
Well, people did, but everybody knew it. I thought Josh Earnest down the White House made the best reflection on what Kevin McCarthy said, that he's made the ultimate mistake in Washington, which was to tell the truth.
I guess so. I'm just surprised that this time everyone has decided he blew it.
But he was still is, right? The number 2 Republican in the House.
Yeah.
When the official line from John Boehner is that they took this away from Darrell Issa because he was just a partisan hack, and they put it in Trey Gowdy's hands, and this committee was going to be just totally objective, just looking for the facts, when in fact it was just another partisan political witch hunt, and Kevin McCarthy admitted it. Told the world.
I was so surprised by the fallout that I went back and looked at everything Trey Gowdy had said. And whenever someone tried to press him on, you just have to get Hillary Clinton, he was very adamant. No,
of course not.
This is about finding the truth. So that helps me understand a little better, but still, gosh.
But the committee, I saw on CBS last night, the committee's been in existence for 18 months. They scheduled originally 9 hearings. I think they've held 1. And now they have this next one coming up on October 22nd. Where former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is scheduled to appear. But you make the point they're spending more time on Benghazi than a lot of other issues.
Well, Nancy Pelosi and other Democrats are saying, let's have a select committee on guns. Something that is killing 30,000 Americans annually.
Yeah. Or climate change, maybe, or whatever.
Well, this is what they've actually in the wake of the most recent mass shooting.
Right.
Congressman Mike Thompson has introduced legislation to create a select committee on gun violence.
Oh, he has. Yeah. Right.
That's right. And he came on the Huffington Post So That Happened Politics podcast to tell us about it, and everyone should go listen to that.
Well, the point is, imagine if they had that focus, right, just on that issue with a series of hearings, what they might be able to accomplish.
Well, the idea that there are common sense gun measures you could get everyone to agree on presumes that there's common sense available, and there's not. The gun nuttery does not have any common sense. So I'm a big pessimist, but the idea that you could look at the causes and possible solutions through the an investigative committee in Congress. It's what Congress is really for,
right?
But we've had one on Benghazi that hasn't done much beside needle the Hillary Clinton campaign, and now Republicans are creating a new one on Planned Parenthood, where they have had hearings in existing committees. But to make a bigger deal out of Planned Parenthood, they will have a new select committee. But the gun violence, the Republicans just laugh this idea away. They won't do it.
The Planned Parenthood, just the purpose of which, of course, will be to keep that issue alive through the 2016 elections. Arthur Delaney here. He's on top of it all for Huffington Post. fresh from Politicon.
Politicon.
Talent at Politicon in Los Angeles. 866-55-PRESS is your toll-free number. Jump in, join the conversation. Comments on tonight's debate, now only 13 hours, 44 minutes, and 57 seconds away. Always welcome.
Get social with Bill Press. Like us at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts. Stop the wrecks.
How I've been affected by gun violence over the years is through deaths of friends and family members and associates.
When I was 5 years old, I was held at gunpoint in a home invasion.
I've gone to the juvenile detention centers and I've met dozens of young kids, babies really, who have been affected by gun violence.
Directly, I've lost a few friends, but I think why this touches my heart is having children of my own.
You know, I've been at parties where, you know, I had just left the party and, you know, maybe 10, 15 minutes later, you know, I heard that, you know, somebody got shot and didn't make it.
There are a lot of people benefiting off of our pain, and it's time we do something.
I'm here to unload my investment because I think that it's important that we start kind of seeing where our money is going.
It's time to go to your financial advisor and demand that there are no gun investments in your 401k.
Even if you don't have investments, you can still help spread the word.
This is something everyone can do.
So if you push your people that have 401ks, it might be your grandma, it might be your cousin, this effort can make a big impact.
I'm unloading for my loved ones that I lost.
I'm unloading for my 18-year-old self.
I'm unloading my 401k for the future of my children.
I'm unloading.
I'm unloading
for my family and their future.
I'm unloading so that my daughter can grow up in a safe, loving world.
Unload and join the movement.
Use hashtag I'm unloading to pledge your support for gun-free investing.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
11 minutes before the top of the hour, talking news of the day with Arthur Delaney from Huffington Post, HuffingtonPost.com, of course. Also, Arthur, editor of the HuffPost Hill, right, which people can sign up for. How?
HuffingtonPost.com.
And then
/politics, you go to the top bar and it will say HuffPost Hill.
HuffPost Hill. Sign up. Get it every day.
It's the greatest. It's so good.
It's an evening newsletter, and it's fantastic. It has cat videos at the bottom.
There you
like
go.
a cup of yogurt.
Yeah.
Fruit at the bottom.
Fruit at the bottom, right. Exactly. Now, Arthur, and Igor Volsky, of course, will be joining us at the top of the next hour. Arthur passing the baton over to Igor, as he does every Tuesday. So we are a show that is largely, if not 100%, supported by some of our great labor unions here in the country. You've heard me advertise for them or mention their sponsorship. We are all members here of SAG-AFTRA. That's our union, and we understand that Huffington Post employees are considering joining the rank and file.
Yeah, that's right.
What's the latest?
Well, there was a great story by Michael Calderon last week that's laid out in a letter that he pasted in its entirety what the workers want. And
Media reporter for Huffington Post.
I'm sorry,
Michael
yes.
Calderon.
In New York, in our New York office. And it's simple things like pay equity and transparency and hiring and firing standards. And I think it's a great idea.
Living wage and vacation benefits and health care and all those good things that come with a union, right? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of which we already have, but we're a big company, and it's a lot of different workers in different types of jobs, and another part of it is standards for deciding who is doing what and in what position.
A lot of which you already have, but which, as people have discovered, which you could lose too. And if you don't have a union, you don't really have an opportunity to band together and fight for your rights. So where is it now? Where's it stand? Has there been a vote? Will there be a vote? What's this? Is management against it or for it or what's up?
Ariana Huffington herself has said she's for it. So there's no vote scheduled yet that I'm aware of. I mean, we're in the very beginning of all this, and there's just been some email, but nothing has really come together yet. I'm not sure how long the process takes. And I'm not one of the organizers of it, but I've been just sort of participating in the emails and keeping an eye on it.
But it looks positive, and it looks like it will happen, and it's just a matter of, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it has happened at several other online media outlets that I think provided a template for how it would happen at a place like Huffington Post. So it's something that's going on. It's actually bigger than just us, and I don't know why we wouldn't fit that pattern. But again, I don't speak for the effort to make it happen. I'm just one of the worker bees.
With the last couple of weeks, we've talked more about the Republican side than the Democratic side. What's your take? Is the Trump bubble or balloon starting to leak air?
It has been leaking air. Trump peaked when he read Lindsey Graham's phone number. And
that long ago, really?
Yeah, everyone's mind was blown by how funny that was. And he also was peaking when he first started calling Jeb Bush low energy, because it picked up on something, people were kind of noticing. And it's not me who has decided that's when the peak was. I can't remember the name of the firm, but a media analytics company looked at how often he's getting mentioned in the news on various platforms. And it's been going down since then, and you've had Ben Carson, who's realized he can say, the weirdest stuff possible that will make him go up in the polls. So I think it really was a summer of Trump, and we've basically got, lingering summer weather, but it will go away.
The summer of Trump and the fall of Ben Carson.
The summer of Trump and the fall of Trump.
And the fall of Trump, right. And now it's Ben Carson and Carly Fiorina battling.
Ben Carson, who thinks the United States currently resembles Nazi Germany and wants to be president. You know who else was president of Nazi Germany?
Don't say the name. We're not allowed. Arthur, always good to see you. Thank you, man. All right.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back. Wrap things up and then get ready for Igor at the top of the hour.
Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
We came here to Foster City, where we're going to watch UC Berkeley, a University of California SWAT team, do a hostage rescue scenario.
water in there now?
Yeah, go ahead. This is like some kind of chemical agent?
Yeah. Copy, we're ready. I'm gonna get shot. I already know it, dude. Fiend's yelling at me.
Gentlemen, we have a chemical. We need to pull our person out. Get these guys out of here. Pull them out. Pull them out. Pull them out. Put your hands on your face. Put your hands on your face. Keep him covered.
Your head up. He's got a shotgun back there.
That's all right. Keep his hands up where we can.
Hands on your face.
Hands on your face. On your face.
Someone cover me. I got a holster up, bro.
Okay, pull him around the corner. Pick him up. Get him out of the building. Quickly. We've got this. Let's get that guy out of there. You, come towards us. Keep your hands on your face. Turn around. Face away from us. Back towards us. Quickly. Back up towards me. Quickly, quickly, quickly. Pull him out of the room.
We're exfilling, Billy?
Yes, we are exfilling.
It was actually around 92, 94. There was an attack on the chancellor at his residence, which is on campus. And we realized at the time that we didn't have any resources to deal with that kind of threat when it took place.
Okay.
So, and I think about 15 years before, they had some kind of semblance of a SWAT team. So they regenerated the idea of activating a SWAT team.
And then since then, you guys have kind of branched out to doing what kind of stuff?
Well, since then, we train for everything. We train for every eventuality, barricaded subjects. Like I said, most of what we do is high-risk warrants.
Okay. And it's something like it could be like a mugging kind of thing, just like on the street.
Depends. I mean,
like
a mugging, but if it's armed, particularly.
Right, an armed mugging.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Exactly. Okay. And then obviously we're looking for training for anything else. That we might be faced with, and that's what's great about Urban Shield is we couldn't duplicate this on our own.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, on Tuesday, October 13, Igor Volsky at the top of the next hour.
Bill, when do you feel you're unhappiest? You're unhappiest.
When I get up out of bed in the morning.
I was going to say, I kind of feel the same way, but science has proven, according to a new study out of England, there is a specific time of day each week that we feel our most unhappy, and that time is 11:17 a.m. on Monday morning.
Really?
Yup.
How did they figure that out?
You've been at work for a little while, you got the weekend behind you, you realize you got the whole day ahead of you.
No.
They say 11:17 a.m.
I don't believe that. I don't believe it. Not for a second. Don't believe it. Forget that. Erase it.
This is the Bill Press Show.
I'm a Piston fan. Their slogan was, "We come to work." That's what Detroit about. That's why they used it. It's a team thing. They won 2 championships, a team. There was no star. No mayor can come in here and be a star. It's a team thing. No governors can come in here and think you can do it by yourself. It's a team thing. You got communities. They got ideas, too. The only thing wrong with Detroit, people have lost hope here. Residents, city workers, so much corruption. They lose hope. But I grew up here. I love this city. I think it can come back. I've been working for the city 24 and a half years. Within the last 10 years, we took 4 pay cuts, and then an additional 10% wage cut. I've lost a home.
When you take all of the decisions out of the city of Detroit, all of us, then what do you have? Exactly what we got, a lot of problems. Every time the city seems to fall into a problem, it's always on the backs of us workers.
You wake up out of a dead sleep and you jump behind the wheel and take off driving.
and try to get everybody there safe, not knowing really what you're pulling up to. I'm not eligible for Social Security, so the pension is my sole salary at this point.
We've been in business here 39 years. We've seen a lot of changes in Detroit. The area was a lot of industry, a lot of city workers. It's getting very tough for the city workers. It's getting tough for us as a business people.
Response times are increasing because of the closing of companies, which takes your insurance rate through the roof. So all the things that affect us affect the citizens.
I worked for the city in different capacities for 29 years. I feel like an old jacket. They use me up and they throw me away. In my condition, nobody's gonna hire me. I'm 68 years old. Half the times, I can't get my blood pressure medicine. It's either feeding myself, blood pressure, or paying bills.
$754. By the time they take all the deductions for I have my car insurance, my house insurance, and my health insurance taken out. So the time they take all that, I'll get about $300 after they take all that out. I don't understand it. I can't see how the governor is allowing this to happen and what they're doing and they want to blame it all on the seniors. Not only the seniors, but the city workers. And we worked hard. I know I worked hard.
I've been in Detroit since 1946. I was 14 years old when I came in. I don't live large at all. I wish I could. I don't know when the last time I've been shopping. I only get $1,100, and I'm 81 years old, and I need every penny that I can get and that I do get. And I'm very, very upset about the idea of them taking away my pensions that I worked 30 years for.
I think it's terrible that they talk about Detroit like they do, because Detroit has been very good to me.
I have a lot of city workers coming in with their uniforms on, Detroit Water Department, Police Department, Fire Department. I get a lot of people, the Border Patrol come in. So if I lose that customer base, I'm going to be in a position where I might have to close down. If they take away their pensions, if they start cutting jobs, it's going to cut into a large percentage of not only our business, but other businesses that are in the city of Detroit. We're here. We've been here for 26 years. We're still trying to do business in the city.
Detroiters are survivors. They tough. They adapt. But only can do so much when your politicians ahead of you and we're not on the same team. We're not going to let Detroit be erased, bulldozed, or wherever. We're going to fight to the bitter end. Detroit going to survive.
Just this month, my bill was like $138.
Even at one phone call a week cost me $40 to $50 every month.
I am living on a fixed income of SSI, so this is really a great hardship. Families are being punished when they incarcerate their children, they incarcerate the whole family.
In 2011, the Media Action Grassroots Network, Working Narratives, and Prison Legal News founded the Campaign for Prison Phone Justice, an effort to call on the FCC to address the cost of interstate phone calls. The campaign mobilized prisoners to send hundreds of letters. Advocates and families filled out postcards, met with elected officials, and signed petitions. Partnerships were formed across the political spectrum and with groups in the criminal justice, civil rights, and public interest community. The film distribution company Participant Media and director Ava DuVernay joined the fight through a social action campaign tied to the release of the feature film Middle of Nowhere. In an effort to push the FCC to act, the campaign hosted a historic rally outside of the Federal Communications Commission where for the first time, families of prisoners, elected officials, civil rights and faith leaders came together to call for an end to predatory phone rates.
We're all held captive when predatory phone companies
gouge our families. My son has been incarcerated now for over 10 years, and my husband estimates that in the time we spent over $25,000 on prison phone calls.
My hero's not yours, you probably arrested them. Your schools probably neglected them. They spawn thoughts, you probably infected them. Feed us what you feed us, you can lay us next to them. FBI call it major crimes. Babies making babies cry.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
13 hours, 24 minutes, and 1 second before the Democratic debate tonight again. Park yourself on the couch right now.
I'm not moving.
And don't move. Somebody else could take your seat. Don't want that to happen. Hello, everybody. It's the big day of the Democratic debate. This is the Big Bill Press Show. Getting ready for it. Tuesday, October 13. Here we go. Coming to you live from Washington, D.C. Here we are with you on the radio, your local progressive talk radio station. Here we are with you on television, on Free Speech TV. Thank you for joining us, and get ready to sound off about the events of the day. 866-55-PRESS is our toll-free number. Send us your comments on Twitter, at BP Show, or on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. And here, as he is no, Igor, no, you sit over there today. No, don't. Stop trying to take my seat.
But Peter told me.
As he's here every Tuesday and sometimes on Fridays.
You never know. Igor Volsky from ThinkProgress, thinkprogress.org. Hello, Igor.
Good morning. And Bill, you don't have to tell me how long it's going to be until the debate. I have a finely tuned internal clock that just ticks on its own, and I know when it's time.
Smart. Mm-hmm. Smart, very smart.
Yeah, because and it's not that CNN has spent the last 5 days talking about nothing but this
is how I internalize this timer. It's now ticking away in my brain.
You know the team. They're sometimes working for you. Peter Haberman and Jamie Benson here.
Good morning. How's it going? I don't know who to report to today. I'm torn.
Yeah, fired.
Oh yes, you do.
Oh, yeah.
Ray Rogers. Ray Rogers is ready to take your calls. 866-55-PRESS. Jump into the mix. Join the fun. And Cyprian Bolding back from Madrid. Do you notice?
Yes, I said hello. My God, global trotter here.
Oh yeah. Once you went to Paris, now it's every other week. It's going to be some other destination. Our videographer here today, and so we might see even before the debate. We've learned things about these candidates that we never knew. I learned something about Hillary Clinton yesterday I never knew before, and I bet you didn't either. She joined a little blog that BuzzFeed does, and
podcast.
It's a podcast, right?
It's a great podcast, by the way.
Called Roundabout.
Another round.
Another round from Buzz. BuzzFeed does some fun things. They really do.
Really good.
Good cat videos, too, of course. And Hillary spills the beans about her background. Here she is.
The weirdest thing about me is that I don't sweat.
Obviously. Best theory for Hillary's a robot, zero sweat.
Is he a dog?
You guys are the first to realize that I'm really not even a human being. I was constructed in a garage in Palo Alto a very long time ago. People think that, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, they created
They don't even know.
Oh, no. I mean, a man whose name shall remain nameless created me in his garage.
A man created her.
She's a robot.
A robot.
Yeah.
Mm.
I know we're supposed to see the funnier, lighter, humorous side of Hillary, but it's kind of weird, isn't it?
That's a weird...
I liked it. It's kind of funny.
It's kind of weird dialogue.
I did.
I think it's weird to compare yourself to a robot.
Yeah.
I was made in a garage.
Just trying to play off the...
It's some of her better attempts at
I don't love it, but yeah, it's... I mean, it's... I mean, it's better than...
Is that how to get the techie vote?
I guess. Yeah, right.
She's not as funny as I am, but she's all right.
There it is. Speaking of funny tonight, well, wait till you hear the jokes that Bernie Sanders tells.
Oh, man.
The Grinch just stole the debate. Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be fun tonight. I'm looking forward to it. And we'll have fun here with Igor Volsky this half hour. Your questions, again, your comments, always welcome at 866-55-PRESS. Wes Lowery from the Washington Post will be joining us, Maggie Haberman from the New York Times, and Peter Fenn, Democratic strategist. But first...
This is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news. All right, so a new study took a look at 102,046 people, right? That's a big, big sample group. Those people were 50 years old or older. They were healthy, except for they had not great eyesight.
Okay.
And they had them eat carrots and other colorful fruits, right? You've heard the old wives' tale, right? Eat carrots, it'll make it'll make your eyesight better, it'll help you feel better.
Did you ever see a rabbit wearing glasses?
I never saw a rabbit wearing glasses.
All right.
Well, this study confirms that carrots do actually help your eyesight.
I know.
If you're not having if you don't have good eyesight, eat some more carrots. It takes a while, they point out. It'll take a 25-year span. but the point is, like, if you're a kid, right, and
That's
you're eating carrots your whole life,
it's
right,
an investment.
It'll eventually help your eyesight. Right. So if you're of age, go ahead and start eating carrots.
Yeah, LASIK's getting pretty pricey.
It may help
Switch
you
to
out.
carrots.
Yeah, exactly. Here's something you never, ever, ever, ever want to do. A man crashed his car into a house in Florida. Turns out he was high on marijuana and he had been drinking. So he had two things working against him there. So when the police showed up, they asked him, "What the hell happened here?" And he says, "Oh, everything's fine. My dog was driving the car." His dog was in the car with him, and then by the time the police showed up, he had moved himself over to the passenger side and put the dog in the driver's seat. The car wasn't moving, of course. He was, unfortunately, arrested on DUI charges. The whole blame your dog for driving drunk story
Didn't hold up.
Didn't hold up for this guy in Florida. Sorry, dude. And the end of an era, Playboy magazine will no longer be showing nudity in the magazine. Now, here's something that
No, that's it. I canceled my subscription.
Yeah, right? I mean, why else would you? So here's something I didn't realize. Last year, they redid their website, and they stopped having nudity on their website last year, and they pointed out that since they got rid of nudity on their website, their traffic has gone up.
Yeah.
250%.
It's all about the brand. It's all about the Playboy brand.
Yeah, and so now it's more acceptable to go there, right? I will say, like, there is a lot. I mean, I know that this is very cliched, but there's a lot of very good writing that takes place in Playboy, and a lot of it is very, not all of it, but a lot of it is very feminist-based writing. There's some really great feminist authors who've appeared in Playboy, and so they said they want to play up on that. They want to play up on the good writing, but they will still have a centerfold every month. She just won't be naked. No more nudity in Playboy.
No comment from Penthouse or Hustler?
I think Penthouse and Hustler will continue to do their thing.
Keep rolling on.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be the same. But I have to tell you, someday I'll tell you about my days and my times at the Playboy Mansion.
Why not now, Bill?
When I was
we have
living
time.
in LA. No, we don't. No, we don't.
Yeah, let's. I mean, I got nothing going on. Igor, do you?
Yeah, we can dispense with this. Yeah, let's go.
Time, Bill.
Come on.
I mean, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, debate. They're going to do great. Yeah. Hillary's time. Okay. Go.
They just better not get rid of the naked girls at the Playboy Mansion. Here we go. 14 minutes after the hour now. Yes, with Igor Volsky. Who you betting on tonight?
I think my money is on Jim Webb. Really
Making a fool of himself?
not showing up. Doesn't want to leave Virginia. I know how he is. It's a trek out there to Las Vegas.
Yeah, you might win that debate.
Yeah, well.
I mean, they say he's coming, but...
They say. They're not sure.
Right.
And who will recognize him when he gets there? Sorry.
How mean you are. But you've done a video.
So we've made this video in preparation for the debate. For ThinkProgress. And I thought it'd be a great
People can
way.
find it at thinkprogress.org.
Or facebook.com/thinkprogress.
Okay.
It's a game show. It's called Know That Democrat. Do-do-do-do.
Okay.
Oh, all
And
right.
so
Okay.
I come with my own sound effects. That's
Yeah.
right. Jamie, no need to press any buttons. I can do this myself.
Zero production into this. I just want you to know.
So here it is, Bill.
All right.
The 6 questions you have to know about the Democratic debate. It's a multiple choice quiz. I'll ask you question by question. The choices are the candidates on stage. So Hillary Clinton, Martin O'Malley, Bernie Sanders, Lincoln Chafee, and Jim Webb. Right? There's only 5 on stage?
Yeah,
5.
you said 6.
6
5.
questions for 5 candidates.
All right.
Here we go. Question number 1. Do-do-do-do. After graduating from college, this candidate worked in Alaska on a fish processing plant, but was fired for complaining about unhealthy conditions.
Bernie Sanders.
Hillary Clinton.
Really?
Ooh,
All right.
yes.
I didn't know this, by the way.
I didn't know that.
I know the answers.
Well, I knew, but I'll tell you one thing. She didn't sweat.
She did not sweat. It's cold up in Alaska. No need to sweat.
Yeah, that's right.
Question number 2. This
She
is
worked on a fishing boat in Alaska?
fishing boat went up after college and said, these fish that I'm canning don't look very healthy. They said, be quiet, get back to work, and then the whole operation eventually shut down.
Okay.
Number 2, this is okay, here it is.
Come on.
Which candidate does not support repealing Obamacare's Cadillac tax on high-cost plans? Does not support repealing the tax. 2 candidates do not support it.
Do not support the... Well, Lincoln Chafee.
Lincoln Chafee.
That's one.
Okay.
Who's the other one?
Jim Webb.
Jim Webb.
Wow. All right.
All right. Thank you. Wow.
Well, it has to be because anyway, with any sense would oppose that tax.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I disagree. We'll talk about that later. Question number 3. This candidate.
All right, he's 1 and 1. He's 1 and 1. He's got one wrong. He's got one right.
Spent half a year on a kibbutz in Israel.
That's Bernie.
That's
Gotta be
Bernie.
Bernie, right?
No, I know Bernie did
That's
spend
right.
time on a kibbutz. Right.
This candidate has proposed a national firearm registry to help reduce gun violence in America.
Martin O'Malley.
Martin O'Malley. 2
Hey,
more.
whoa,
You're on a
whoa.
roll, Bill.
3 to
You're on a
1.
roll.
3 to 1 here.
This candidate.
That fish story was a... All right, yes.
This
Are
candidate
you sure Bernie also didn't work on a
did
fishing
not
boat?
work on a fishing boat that I know of.
Maybe they both did.
That's right.
Bernie was a filmmaker. All right, this candidate
He worked
is
on a fishing
a
boat in...
Grammy winner. Grammy-winning candidate.
That's Jim Webb.
That's Hillary Clinton.
That's Hillary Clinton.
For her spoken word album, It Takes
really?
a Village.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
What did you think Jim Webb won a Grammy for?
Oh, no,
you seem
because-
so sure of that answer.
No.
That maybe you know something I don't.
No, because he's written a couple of novels, and I thought...
Oh, sure. Yeah.
All right,
Right.
and here we go.
Wait, are we done?
Well, we have one more.
Oh,
we have
all right.
one more. This
Okay.
one you should be able to get. This
So wait.
candidate.
You've gotten three right and 2 wrong.
Right.
So you got to
Let's
get this
see.
one right,
Let's
or
see
else
how
you're
you do
gonna
here. I
be
think you'll do well. I
extremely
think you'll do
average.
well with this one. This candidate has written 10 books.
I guess that's Jim Webb.
Jim Webb.
All right, there you go.
Do-do-do-do. Bill knows that Democrat.
Do the fanfare.
4 out of 2.
All right.
Man,
It's not bad.
I don't know. That's pretty...
Alaskan fishing boat, huh? Really got
Yeah,
you.
I know the Alaskan fishing
Yeah.
boat is the one that threw me, right? Well, there you go. You've probably found out more from that little quiz than you will find out about watching.
You're welcome, America.
Watching the debate tonight. But the big question is Joe Biden going to announce today and therefore take all the fun out of tonight's
That
debate?
would be something, wouldn't it?
That
That
would
would
be
really be amazing.
10
I mean,
strike.
CNN's
That would
heads would explode because
Yeah.
there's that breaking news, but they're in debate mode. What do they do?
I would kind of.
Are they prepared for
and
this?
for 2 hours.
Have they practiced this scenario?
For 2 hours, they would be talking about nothing but, as I said earlier, WWJD.
I mean,
what would Joe do?
Yeah, they would have to change all the questions up to Joe Biden.
Yeah. Every question will be couched. I'm telling you, if you're listening, do it today.
It would make up for all of the hemming and hawing that he's done over the past couple of weeks to just do it today and just watch everyone go absolutely berserk. It would be awesome.
And
I would love it.
And wherever he is watching, if he's watching, whatever he's doing, the cameras would just go, Over here. Wouldn't it be great?
Oh, man. Poor Martin O'Malley. I mean, he would, fall off the stage.
Who's got the most to lose tonight?
I mean, probably Hillary. What does she has to gain? She has these 6 debates to get through. She's the front runner. Plus, a big story dropped just this morning from the AP that the server she was using failed the very fundamental, very basic security tests in terms of how hack-proof it really was. That's going to be now a big question tonight. The story, the drip, drip, drip continues. It's going to be half of the debate's going to be her answering those questions, and she doesn't have a great answer because she doesn't really have a great reason except for maybe some loose paranoia or convenience or whatever it is for setting it up in the first place. So I think she has the most to lose. Obviously, O'Malley and Webb and Chafee have a lot to gain, and Sanders, of course. But, you go in as a front runner, the only way to go is down.
Yeah, I can see the first question. President Obama says it was a big mistake to set up your own
you're going to hear
server.
that, yeah.
Do you agree with President Obama? Yeah. Here he is. All right. Igor Volsky, he's all over it. 866-55-PRESS is the toll-free number. Your chance to jump in. We'll be right back.
Like politics? Then like The Bill Press Show on Facebook. This is The Bill Press Show.
When I started learning about nutrition, about which, by the way, much less is known than you might think, I learned that what mattered most about one's health was not necessarily the nutrients, good or bad, that you were consuming or staying away from, or even the calorie counts. But what predicted a healthy diet more than anything else is the fact that it was being cooked by a human being and not a corporation. Corporations cook very differently than people do. They use vast amounts of salt, fat, and sugar, much more than you would ever use in your own cooking. And the reason they do that is those are 3 incredibly attractive and incredibly cheap ingredients. And when they're layered properly, as in a chip or pastries and forms of junk food, they're incredibly addictive. They really press our buttons. They activate our dopamine network, our cravings. And in fact, people in the industry, they don't talk about addiction in the food industry, even though they traffic in addiction. They talk about craveability. It's the same thing. And snackability is another term they use. It's a lovely word. And then the last point about corporate cooking that's important to understand is they cook different stuff than you do at home. What they're good at, in general, they don't cook that well, but things like chips, they cook incredibly well. And here's a classic food that if you make it yourself, if you've ever made French fries, you have to wash the potatoes, you have to peel the potatoes, you have to slice the potatoes, you have to fry them in a lot of oil, you have to spatter your entire stovetop, you have to clean up, and then you have this pot of oil you have to get rid of. I mean, it's really difficult, and it's a pain. They're wonderful, but it's a pain. And if you make them yourself, you'll only eat them every 6 weeks, 2 months, because it's too much work. But when you let corporations cook for you, it's so simple and so inexpensive, and they're really good, that you will have them twice a day, as many people in America do. So you see the kinds of foods you end up with are these labor-intensive foods and desserts. These special occasion foods become everyday foods when we let industry cook for us. Eat anything you want, just cook it yourself.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 25 minutes after the hour, here we go. Wes Lowery from the Washington Post joins us at the half hour, which means we just got a little more time left with Igor, Volsky. We're talking about all the Democrats on tonight's debate. Ben Carson has made a little bit of news lately. How would you like it if you were in his response to what happened in Roseburg, of course, was first of all said you should charge the gunman. Forgetting that, or maybe not knowing that one brave person did. And then he said what you should also do is maybe tell him, just don't shoot me, shoot somebody else. He talking about his experience at a Popeyes in Baltimore.
I have had a gun held on me when I was in a Popeyes organization.
Well, you eat Popeyes as a doctor? Was this before you were a doctor? Because I don't know. Full disclosure.
We have to die of something. Guy comes in, puts the gun in my ribs, and I just said, I believe that you want the guy behind the counter.
Thanks, dude. I just cannot believe that he would admit that.
There's so much wrong with that.
Popeyes institution.
Popeyes organization. Popeyes organization.
Nobody calls it Popeyes.
If you've been in a Popeyes, you've never called it a Popeyes organization.
No. That's like I went to a McDonald's organization.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no. Number one. Right. Number two, if he put the gun right in his ribs, he didn't just walk in with the gun. He put it right in his ribs.
It's like pointed at the other guy.
And then said, no, just shoot
that guy.
It's very strange.
Don't shoot me, shoot him.
Don't shoot me, shoot that guy. Oh, yeah. This is the Good Samaritan that you want. Why is it that no matter what he says, no matter how outrageous, people love him?
Oh, well, to be honest, it's like a sliver of the Republican Party. Right? It's like 20%, so like 80% don't love him. Fine.
But you have 15 candidates.
We have 15 candidates. It's all. I don't understand the Ben Carson appeal. I never did. I think he's. I fall asleep just listening to the tone of his voice. It's like a lullaby. But look, I guess they're clinging on to any outsider they can possibly find who has no DC connections, and it's Ben Carson. I mean, there's no doubt he's a brilliant guy. He's a brilliant surgeon.
He's a genius.
It's surprising that such a brilliant guy can be so dumb when it comes to statements like this or just very basic policy statements.
But I hope you also know that if Jews had guns, there would have been no Holocaust.
Oh, stop it. You're causing me pain this Tuesday morning. I'm
supposed to
be feeling good about the Democratic debate, and here you are just throwing this.
He's the dumbest genius we've ever had in this country.
He is, indeed.
Go back to brain surgery, right? Yeah, man. Stay away from the White House. All right, Igor. Have fun tonight.
Thank you.
All right.
Of course. Jim Webb will be there.
Is the Bill Press Show.
I have run these canyons for 6 million years. I have traveled from the Rocky Mountains to the deserts, through scorching heat and freezing cold, from the land of the dinosaurs to fields of food.
I lend my hand to 7 states, 2 countries, 9 national parks,
and 36 million people across an arid West.
I am not the strongest or the largest, but I am the hardest working.
People love me.
My playfulness,
My beauty.
my power,
My life. But I don't think I can offer any more.
I am tired.
I am tired,
tapped,
and tied. Of the hundreds of major rivers in the world, I am one of the few who no longer kisses the sea.
Battles to harness my soul have been won and lost. Use me wisely, and I will sustain you.
Use me like you have, and I will break. My name
is
Red. The Grand River Red. The American Nile.
The Canyon Maker. I am the Colorado River.
And I am the most endangered river in America.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
33 minutes after the hour now, it is the Bill Press Show. Here we go on a Tuesday, October 13. How about it? Bringing you all the news of the day from our studio on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., where we're brought to you today by the good men and women of AFSCME. They are, under President Lee Saunders, the largest public employee and healthcare workers union in the entire country, making America happen at the state level, the local level, and you can check out their good work at their website, afscme.org, afscme.org. We salute their good work and thank them for their sponsorship of the program. A troubling report out in Cleveland. Releases of reports on two independent investigations in the shooting and the killing of Tamir Rice about a year ago, and both of those reports say that the police officer acted responsibly in carrying out his duty by killing Tamir Rice within seconds of pulling up to the scene. Wesley Lowery from the Washington Post has been covering the issue of police abuse of power, let's say, or police violence and police community relations for the Washington Post, has joined us often on the program and is back in studio today. Hey, Wes, good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Thanks for having me.
But, This is the same old approach, right? I mean, we saw no charges filed in Ferguson, no charges filed in Staten Island, and now it looks like these cops are going to go. This cop is going to get off too.
Exactly. It looks like this is essentially a trial balloon. This leaking of these two reports, these two investigations into this shooting, to try to broadcast that, look, if you're expecting charges in this case, stop expecting charges in this case.
Because these reports will go to the grand jury.
These will go to
right?
the grand jury. So these are basically the prosecutor is showing us the expert witnesses that are going to come in and talk to the grand jury. Now, I was talking to the lawyer for the Rice family yesterday, and he was pointing out, he said, he thought this was kind of a ridiculous process, that typically, why would you ever bring an expert witness to a grand jury that undermines your case as the prosecutor? The prosecutor, you're supposed to be going in there seeking charges. You're supposed to be bringing all the evidence that, all the burden of all the evidence that this in fact is a crime, not arguing it both ways. That's not the point of a grand jury.
But isn't it still true that the grand juries basically do whatever the prosecutor wants?
Of course, exactly. And so the prosecutor
that's been like a fascinating observation through all of this stuff, right?
Exactly. Well, yeah, this idea that in a normal case, that if one of you guys kills me or I kill one of you, they're going to the grand jury and they're basically saying, charge this guy with murder, and they're charging me with murder. Or they're not litigating, they're not having a trial in front of the grand jury and saying, well, but actually there might be some other suspect and we don't know. No, they're bringing, if there's enough evidence to potentially charge me, they're going to charge you. With a police officer, they're essentially holding a court session inside these grand juries, presenting evidence both against and for them, and that's why these officers keep not getting charged.
In this case, I really do not understand it. I saw the attorney you spoke to interviewed last night on CBS. So the 911 call clearly says it could be a fake gun. The kid is just walking around, waving it around, and pointing it at people. It said it could be a fake gun. The dispatcher did not tell the police officer that, I guess, but still, they pull the car up like right alongside of the kid, and the police officer gets out of the. I mean, we've seen the video so many times. He gets out of the car, walks around the front of the car, and kills this kid.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, there's no attempt to disarm him or warn him.
Well, it's impossible. It's less than 2 seconds from the time the car pulls up to the time the gun is discharged, and so there's no way there could have been a reasonable exchange. Like it's so quick.
It's so fast.
Yeah. The other thing is, so I've been to that park in Cleveland, and what you don't see just out of the frame is a little more of the spatial context of that incident. So they essentially, in front of where that video cuts off is a parking lot. So they theoretically could have pulled up right, 10 feet away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What they did in reality is they pulled up on a side street and drove through the park. Because I've talked to some people who are, hearing what the police gossip is about what they did or why they did that. And their argument is that, they thought this was a kid with a gun. They assume he's going to run away as soon as they get this. So they wanted him to run back towards the street, not into a bunch of houses. So they were trying to cut him off, was the argument being made. But again, they could have pulled up in the parking lot and it would have given them some spatial distance there. And so there's a real question. A lot of people are questioning, what were these tactics, and how is it they end up putting, if you're the driver of that car, how do you end up putting your fellow officer within, even if this was a real gun, why would you drive up that close?
Right.
You're placing yourself in harm's way. It reminds me of a quote,
In other words, if I may,
go ahead.
Phrase that I heard the attorney use last night, if you create the danger, right, which is kind of what they did.
Exactly.
They created the danger and then said because they were in danger, they were justified in shooting this kid.
Exactly. That the first big story we did on police
22.
shootings this year. We had this quote from Ron Davis, who's the director of the cops office for DOJ, and he said, too often we have officers chasing a suspect, hopping over fences, swimming through a river, and then
I've seen cops. I know how it works. Yeah.
And finding themselves in an alley with a guy with a gun, and now they're scared, so they have to shoot him. And this idea that so many of our police shootings are preventable if only you just kind of calm down a little bit. You don't need to chase this guy. You don't need to run at this guy this way, because once you place yourself in the danger, well, sure, now you're legally justified. But should you be there in the first place?
Right. Overall, it's been, a year and a couple of months since Ferguson. With all the attention to that and all the talk, the shooting of unarmed black men by white police officers continues at the same pace?
One every 10 days, roughly, and the same pace keeps up.
We don't hear about many of them. Do we?
No, and they bubble up. We hear about, so there have been over 750. Actually, we're almost at 780 fatal police shootings this year. A small percentage of those are unarmed black men. However, it's still disproportionate to the population. It disproportionate more if you are a black man shot by the police. You're more likely to have been unarmed than the universe of white men who are shot by the police. But yeah, you're right. We're not hearing about a lot of them. We do hear about some of them. You've got cases like Walter Scott or Sam DuBose in Cincinnati. We're more likely to hear about the unarmed black cases, but it certainly hasn't stopped.
And is there any effort to, there's been, when it does bubble up, right, there's always talk about more training, about body cams, about whatever.
Well, and it's interesting. My colleague Kimberly Kindy did a great piece last week on body cameras and how even in even in departments that have them and start using them, maybe after an incident or because they live in a remarkably progressive department that wants them, there's still huge inconsistencies in terms of what they do with that tape, if it's available to the public, if it's available to a family. What we found was that in cases, there have been 49 police shootings this year where that shooting was caught on tape. In only 21 of those cases had they released the tape publicly. But in almost every case, they had allowed the officers involved to view the tape. And in most of the cases, they had not allowed the family of the dead person to view the tape. And so even these things that are these steps towards transparency or that we believe might be parts of policing reform, you still have them being inserted into a culture that is very resistant to transparency and is still structurally set up to favor the police officer.
Right.
And so we're still seeing a lot of the complications there.
And there's also this story that we talked about earlier this week in Texas, Prairie View, Texas. A city council member who was on his knees in front of his own house, and he gets tased, and they got it all on the body camera. And so it's like this argument that body cameras are making people safer. It's a good step, but it also is certainly not the solution.
Right. No, I saw that video, and the police officer, this was an African-American woman police officer, one of them at least was, because one of the other cops says, he's a city councilman. She said, I know who he is, right? And they but they all were had body cams. They all must have known that, of course, they knew they had body cams. They knew everything was recorded, but it didn't stop them, I believe, unjustifiably, from tasering this city councilman who was doing nothing more than saying, why are you hassling or harassing my friends?
Exactly.
He wanted to know, that's all.
And that's what we're...
So the body cam may not be the deterrent we think.
No, because what we're dealing with here is a culture and an understanding of, the police believe, the public perception of how a police officer should and should be instructed to behave in an interaction is very different than how police believe they should and have been instructed to behave. And I think that what we're seeing through this video and what we're seeing through this legal process is we're all getting a better understanding. We have this kind of idea of what it would be like, oh, I'm sure I could talk the police down if something happened. We think we're going to have this negotiation. In reality, what we're seeing is that, police officers very often are empowered to use whatever type of force they would like to use, and they'll fill out some paperwork later and figure it out.
You're a city councilman in front of your own house on your knees, and you still can't get out of that situation of being attacked by the police.
Exactly. Henry Louis Gates getting arrested on the stoop of his own house, trying to, I live here and here's my idea.
Yeah, right.
Again, this idea that the police are going to kind of use force or make the arrest or do whatever they need to do first, and they'll figure out the rest of it later. And if they end up tasering you or shooting you, they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
The whole question of police community relations. Wes Lowery from the Washington Post. Very, very troubling, and doesn't look like there's much improvement or much change. Let's talk about it. 866-55-PRESS. Give us a call. Jump in on the conversation, and we'll be right back.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
This is why you took a second job. While you taught yourself how to fix the plumbing. While you'll do whatever it takes to keep your home. And that is why we want to help. We are making home affordable, a free government resource that can make paying the mortgage easier. Call 888-995-HOPE today.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
It is debate day, and Peter Fenn, Democratic strategist, will get us ready at the top of the next hour. Right now we're talking police, community relations, and assorted issues or related issues with Wes Lowery, national reporter for the Washington Post at WashingtonPost.com. You know, my fear is that this issue, Wes, of abuse of police authority, or abuse of their authority by police officers, particularly related to young African-American unarmed men, is just going to go. I mean, we're going to move on and not do anything about it. Talk about it, move on, and then forget about it.
Of course, and when it's difficult, you know, it's because I do think there have been some steps that have been taken in the last year. I mean, we're seeing some of them at the statewide level. For example, in California, the Attorney General is forcing every police officer in the state to go back through like a racial sensitivity training and do more like implicit bias trainings. We are seeing some more cameras, some more trends. So there are certainly some things happening. It's just hard when it's happening in so many different places, so many different police departments, to actually kind of wrap your arms around what exactly is happening. And of course, these are changes to a huge institution, thousands, tens of thousands of police officers. You know, it's going to take a long time for us to really feel the impact.
And there's a lot of those attitudes ingrained in.
Of course. And so in some cases, you're going to have it's going to take time for officers to retire or for leadership of departments to switch over. You know, it's going to be a very slow walk.
Now, related to it, is the issue of criminal justice reform. I saw Attorney General Loretta Lynch last week, and she talked about what the president, of course, has been talking about, which is doing, and in fact, the Justice Department announced that there are 6,000 people, mostly young men, now in prison who are there for nonviolent drug-related offenses, serving these extraordinarily long sentences because of those mandatory sentencing laws were passed back in the 80s and 90s, I guess. I mean, that's a big part of it, too, which is going to help. Yes?
Exactly. I think that's, we're having this massive conversation about policing on one hand and criminal justice reform on the other hand. And I do think it's a left-hand, right-hand thing. These things have all kind of worked together. And so it's going to be really interesting now as, we've got bipartisan bills in both the House and the Senate that would attempt to address some of these things, rolling back some of the mandatory minimums, releasing a lot of these people retroactively. Because when we'd seen some of the other reforms that had happened, and some of them come through the Hill, one of the big things Eric Holder championed was getting rid of the crack versus powder cocaine distinction.
Yeah.
Same drug in the same amount, but the way black people use it, no, that's a serious crime. That's a felony. The way white people use it, whatever. The problem was,
it is true. The total different approach.
The problem was they didn't make anything retroactive when they did that.
Right.
And so you had people who were sitting in jail say, well, it's great you changed that law, but I've still been here 25 years. And so what is different
the first round was just looking forward.
Looking forward.
Yeah.
The problem is you've still locked all these people up for decades on a law that you now agree was unfair. And so what are you going to do retroactively? And so what we've seen now in this legislation that has been introduced to the committees on the Hill. It's unclear yet if it will get a vote or if it can pass the full Congress, but they're talking about doing things that are much more retroactive. That, if we get rid of the mandatory minimum that you have been sentenced to jail for, we're either going to let you out or we're basically going to give you a new hearing in front of a judge, where the judge is going to most likely say, well, you've done 25 years for a crime that we now admit you should probably, at the maximum, get 10 years for. Go home. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see if this can pass.
And it's all also part of the so-called war on drugs, which we really, some of us have a long time ago, but I don't think as a nation we have accepted as being a total failure.
And I think that's a lot of this is, it's kind of the cyclical nature of our politics, right? It's the long-term impact of the things we do. Because very often in politics, we get really emotional. We're really excited about something happening right now. These child immigrant crisis at the border, or Bo Bergdahl, whatever the thing is today that everyone's worked up about. And then we start instituting policies and making real decisions that have long-term impacts. And so a lot of this is, there was certainly a crime wave in the 80s and the early 90s. There was a big fear of this violent crime. It was this big fear of drugs in a lot of these communities. And so what we did is we passed very aggressive policing laws and policing policies in all these departments that had deep collateral consequences that we hadn't thought through. Well, if we go into these communities and put all these cops in all these exclusively black neighborhoods and lock all these black people up, we didn't think about the impacts that's going to have 5, 10, 15 years later. And I think that's been a really, we're finally kind of having a reckoning with that. That so much of this is the result of the drug war and of the '94 crime bill, and this is something we chose to do, and maybe we shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, and we're not out of it yet. But you think of when you're thinking about all the time and money that's been spent on law enforcement at every level on nonviolent drug crimes, and I've talked to some judges about this, and they say it's just crazy. We spend so much of our time. Police officers spend so much of their time. Prosecutors, defense attorneys on these.
Of course, and it's all punitive. It's not, it's
yes.
No one, very few people stop using heroin because they get arrested for using heroin, right? That's because that's just not how addiction works. Yeah. It's not, and so it's this extraordinary amount of money that we're using because this is how we decided we were going to tackle these problems. Yeah. And the reality is, if we believe the problem really is drug use, which is certainly a huge problem in many parts of the country, all over the place, there's a reasonable argument to be made that arresting people and putting throwing more cops at it is not, in fact, the way to solve that problem.
You're absolutely spot on with that, yeah. Wes Lowery, so good to see you, my friend. Thanks so much for coming in.
Anytime.
Thanks for your good work, your good reporting. I'll be back and tell you what President Obama's got on his schedule today.
Get social with Bill Press. Like us at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, hour number 3, ready to roll, and the drill. You have to wait until 5 o'clock Eastern to watch on Free Speech TV, or 2 Pacific, that is, of course. But you can watch right away on our video stream, TawkrTV, youtube.com/Tawker, TAWKR-TV. Nobody better to look at what's likely to happen in tonight's debate and across the political scene than Democratic strategist Peter Fenn joins us in studio, and then Maggie Haberman, one of the best political writers in the country today for the New York Times, will be joining us as well. A hot third hour coming up, so stay tuned here on The Bill Press Show.
A few years ago, plastic bag waste in our city came to a tipping point. It was clear we had a bag problem. My department was tasked to reduce plastic bag consumption. We needed to come up with ways to change human behavior. So we asked ourselves, would you like a bag? What do people really hate?
Yep.
Getting punched in the stomach. Preliminary studies showed that the consequences weren't severe enough to warrant behavioral change.
Actually, can I get that double bagged?
So we thought, what do people hate more than getting punched in the stomach? Kissing Helga.
Hey, big boy.
People didn't find her so offensive after all, so we had to get creative.
How many bags? Okay, now, pour this ice water down your pants.
We tried everything.
Eat this rat. Defuse this bomb.
Even fighting your clone. After blowing through millions of dollars of government funds on research, I came up with a brilliant idea.
Why don't we just charge 5 cents per bag?
That's a stupid idea.
Would you like a bag?
Yes.
5 cents a bag.
5 cents? 5 cents? Do I still have the option of getting punched?
Honestly, I don't know how everyone else missed it.
Why don't you just get a reusable bag?
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, I don't mean to start any conspiracy theories here, but the president and the vice president get their daily briefing today at 11 o'clock. And then this afternoon, the president meets with Attorney General Loretta Lynch, not the vice president. Where is the vice president going to be this afternoon? Why isn't he at that meeting with Loretta Lynch? Could he be on Air Force 2 on his way to Las Vegas for the debate? Is this the big announcement day? Peter Fenn will tell us next.
This is the Bill Press Show.
The hardest moments for me is when I'm laying awake in the middle of the night and I'm thinking about all the times I made a pitcher of Kool-Aid with the water, or I boiled a pot of corn or potatoes with the water. Those thoughts just stick with me in the middle of the night, and I feel horrible as a mom that I didn't know that something was wrong, but how could I have known? There's no way I would have known.
The spill at Dan River happened when a drainage pipe that ran underneath an ash basin and dam collapsed, sucking out 6 decades of waste and spewing gunk directly into the river.
My husband and I just kind of looked at each other like, should we be concerned? We live right next to an ash pond, and this was coal ash spilling into the Dan River, and we learned at that point all of the toxins that were included in coal ash.
A situation like Dan River, where there was a catastrophic disaster, gets people's attention, but the fact is that these coal ash pits have been leaking and poisoning people's groundwater and the state's surface waters for decades. Coal ash is the residue left behind after coal is burned in a coal-fired power plant. A large coal-fired power plant can burn 10 million tons of coal a year. When the organic matter in the coal is burned away, what's left behind are these trace minerals, things like arsenic, lead, mercury, selenium, and chromium. And these are highly concentrated. The coal ash can have concentrations of these contaminants that are 10 to 100 times greater than the level in the coals themselves.
Coal ash pond number 1 is right behind my house, literally pretty much in my backyard. We were approached by a neighbor who was wanting to have their well tested, and we decided that maybe we should have ours tested as well. They found hexavalent chromium at 4.5 parts per billion.
So in talking to the residents, we have discovered anecdotal evidence of an extraordinary number of cancers for this fairly small community.
Some of us in the community got together. We started kind of talking about all the cancer that we've seen in some of our family friends in this community. I think we had somewhere in the neighborhood of around 70 names. So we had some help from our river keepers putting a map together, and it was a little shocking to see it. You know, I still have a hard time looking at it.
Technically, EPA has not regulated coal ash as a hazardous waste, but it is undeniable that coal ash contains many, many hazardous substances that are hazardous, in fact, to people and the environment. And the only reason they have not been regulated as such is because of intense lobbying efforts by the coal industry and its allies.
A lot of these chemicals are simple elements, but when you find them at the levels that they exist in around coal ash ponds, then you're starting to talk about cancer, brain tumors, you're talking about birth defects, developmental problems, neurotoxicity.
We began to look at legal options, cases that we could bring in court to protect communities and their citizens from these toxic leaking time bombs. In 2002, North Carolina enacted a public financing mechanism for judicial elections. This kept private money out of judicial elections.
The repeal of the public financing program in judicial elections in North Carolina creates a dangerous precedent for all, and it gives corporate polluters and other special interests the opportunity to elect the judges that they want. And this is important for us all. Everyone should care about this, because when you think about the fact that the state and the federal government have basically abdicated their responsibility to regulate these issues, the state courts are the last stopgap.
I think this is no longer a problem that's going to go under the radar. It has been exposed, and I am confident that we will ultimately, with the facts, win out and ensure that we have protected waterways.
And so this is something that we all should care about. If we're worried about the water we drink and the air we breathe, we have to be concerned about money in judicial elections.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts, stop the wrecks.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
12 hours, 24 minutes, and 2 seconds. Can you wait? Can you stand it? For the Democratic debate. Of course, as we've been telling you all morning, get your seat on the couch right now and don't move. Somebody else might steal your seat. You won't be there at the very beginning. Can't miss a second of it. That's the Democratic debate tonight. This is the Bill Press Show right now.
It's the Bill Show.
The Bill Show.
It's the Bill
Very
Show.
Casual around here.
Tuesday, October 13. Good to have you with us. We couldn't get through the debate. Couldn't get to the debate tonight without Peter Fenn leading the way, helping us sort it all out. Democratic strategist, good friend in the studio with us. Hello, Peter.
Hello, Bill. Great to be here, as always.
Yeah, welcome back. And join the team, Peter Ogburn and Jamie Benson.
Yes, indeed. Here we are.
Good morning. With Ray Rogers on the phones. Your calls, welcome. 866-55-PRESS. And Cyprian Bolding here on the video cam, keeping us looking good on free speech and on TawkrTV. Great to have you with us today. Seriously, I hope you're going to watch the debate tonight. You never know what's going to happen. And here's the deal, Peter. I don't know whether you know this, but, CNN has 6 podiums, not just 5.
Right.
And
is that for you or for me, Bill?
Or for Paul Ryan? I don't know. As Stephen Colbert pointed out last night, they have been spending more time talking about the guy who probably will not be at the 6th podium than the 5 who will be at the other 5. So this is Jim Acosta, their chief White House correspondent, whom I see at the briefings every day, but he's out in Vegas now doing debate coverage on CNN the other night. And then Stephen Colbert played this last night with his take. So let's start with Jim Acosta.
Will the Air Force 2 suddenly start flying this way, start flying westward toward Las Vegas on Tuesday night? A dramatic landing at McCarran International Airport. The speeding motorcade over to the Wynn Hotel. Biden with the aviator glasses put on. I can see a situation, John, where he pulls in that yellow Corvette with the aviators on and just says, let's do this thing. It'll be fun to watch. It'll be fascinating political television if the vice president decides to join in.
Here's Colbert.
That would be fascinating. It would be fascinating political television. And it's a great new strategy for cable news, describing things more compelling than what you're watching now. CNN, it could get interesting. But
isn't that a great take? Yeah. What you're watching is not worth watching, but we'll tell you what could really be exciting.
Wouldn't
but
this be
isn't
interesting
happening.
if this happened?
Yeah.
Well, usually
There's a whole new approach.
They have the empty podium for the person who doesn't show up, not the empty podium for the person who they want to show up.
Right.
But
oh no,
I think this may be a more interesting debate than people think, actually. And despite Donald Trump's protestations, of course, he said yesterday, people will tune in, but they'll fall asleep right away because I'm not there.
Yeah.
Classic Donald Trump. So Peter Fenn with us for the first half hour. Maggie Haberman from the New York Times will join us in the next half hour. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Really important.
Yes, indeed. Just a couple of other stories making news. Bombshell to the college football world. Yesterday, we found out that Steve Spurrier, the head coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks, is retiring right here in the middle of the season. It's very mysterious as to why he exactly is stepping down. Some people are throwing a lot of different speculations out there. He was the coach of Florida for some time, and then he came here to Washington, D.C. to coach the professional football team for a very short while. That did not go so well. So a humbled Steve Spurrier went to South Carolina. But he is stepping away. They've already announced just moments ago, as a matter of fact, that Sean Elliott, who is currently serving as the co-offensive coordinator for the Gamecocks, is going to take over as interim head coach, and they'll begin their search for a new head coach. But shockwaves there, man. Spurrier's a big name. One of the funniest guys, very successful, but also just a funny guy. He, one time when he was coaching Florida, after Auburn beat them, there was a fire in the Auburn library. And he said, I heard about that fire. It's a terrible story. I heard 20 books got burned. 15 of them hadn't even been colored in yet. That's Spurrier. So I hope it's good news. I hope it's a good reason he's stepping away. A new study by the Bureau of Labor Statistics took a look at where big cities spend their money. The citizens, the residents of those big cities. Took a look at the 18 biggest cities in America and where they spend their money on eating out, alcohol, smoking, entertainment, reading, dressing, public transportation, and the cost of their cars. Booze, I can tell you, let's go straight there, because Washington, D.C. actually ranks dead last on that list. Dead last on that list. Number one is Dallas-Fort Worth. They spend
if I
more.
lived in Dallas-Fort Worth, I'd drink.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. You got a lot of reasons to drink out there.
All right, what do people in Washington spend most of their money on?
I'm glad you asked, Bill. We are number one at buying books. We buy more books than any other country in America.
I do believe that, yeah.
Probably a good 30% of that probably comes from you, Bill.
I buy a lot of books, but I bet you we spend more money on people spend more money on booze than they do on books.
They don't actually.
No,
we spend the lowest on clothing, dressing,
Well, look at us here, the group.
Yeah, look. I mean, come on. I think we just proved that. And we spend the most on
Brooks
books.
Brothers is not making much money on us.
Not here in this room. No, absolutely not. So I found that encouraging. Right? We spend less on clothes and more on books. Right?
Then we should have more bookstores.
I agree. And let's go to Major League Baseball. A lot of playoff games happening yesterday.
Man.
Boy,
Go Cubs.
boy.
Go Cubs.
The Cubs, I'm telling you, what a monster game from the Cubs yesterday. They beat the Cardinals 8-6. 6 home runs for the Cubs in that game. They are currently leading that series 2-1. The Astros nearly pulled it off and beat the Royals, but the Royals came back to beat them 9-6. That series is tied 2-2. The Blue Jays ran away from the Rangers yesterday 8-4. That ties that series at 2 games apiece. And the Mets got their sweet revenge on the Dodgers as the Dodgers came to New York. The Mets clobbered them 13-7, getting revenge for that Chase Utley slide on Ruben Tejada. That series, the Mets are leading that 2-1.
Yeah. Lively playoff series so far.
It's a good playoff series, man. It's a good
one
playoff
team
series.
that doesn't seem to be in it.
Yeah, geez, who could that be? Oh, man, I seem like I'm missing one.
Next year.
Next year. Wait till next year.
All right. 13 minutes after the hour now. So, Peter, first of all, CNN had a little breaking news just a little while ago that Senator Kirsten Gillibrand is saying that Joe Biden is going to run. Now, what that's based on, we don't really know. She talked to him, maybe, probably not, but she says he's going to run. Do you think he's going to?
I would have said definitely not about a month, 6 weeks ago. I think the chances may be about 50-50 now.
Really?
I mean, I think,
yeah.
I think
the chances have improved rather than.
Yeah, I mean, I think he just is the kind of politician just loves the fray, loves to get into it, and I think and I think the family probably was behind him this weekend to run. I mean, that would be my guess. But
when he sees how well Bernie Sanders has done, when he sees how Hillary Clinton, even though she's still the front runner, has certainly slipped and has this anchor of emails that she can't seem to get rid of, that tells him there's an opening?
I mean, I think so. And I think the other thing that he's sort of thinking is, I can raise enough money to get going. I can pursue this into the spring or late winter. And, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I mean, if Hillary gets her sea legs, this email nonsense is behind her. She knocks the ball out of the park on the 22nd of October when she's up before the inane committee, and folks start to move. Then, okay, I tried, and, I can be vice president and go off into the sunset.
Are there enough uncommitted people, enough big donors particularly that...
I think he's going to have trouble on the money, to be perfectly honest. I think he'll be able to raise some, and there are some that are sitting on the sidelines a bit. I think his problem is he doesn't have the Bernie Sanders internet sensation stuff. I mean, he doesn't have a list. He doesn't have he's not going to be able to. Money's not going to come pouring in $50, $100 donations for Joe Biden. I hate to say it, but will it be enough to get him through January, February, and early March? Probably.
Okay. So if he's going to do it, we probably, even though I think it'd be fun if he announced today, we probably will not know it today. So we're going to look tonight at the 5 candidates who have announced, right?
Right. I think that, as fun as it is to speculate about this, that first of all, that would look like a cheap shot on his part and a hot dog move. And as much as he loves to drive Corvettes with sunglasses, I don't think he's showing up that way. And I think he'd wait till after this is over.
Would you agree that most of the pressure is on Hillary Clinton tonight?
I think to a certain degree, but I think she's also in a good position because look, all the questions are not going to be about emails.
No,
I mean she'll get a couple, but this is going to be about substantive issues.
And she's an accomplished debater.
And she'll I think she'll do very well. I think Bernie will, he's got his line down. I think he'll do fine too. I think the interesting thing will be to watch. People. Jim Webb's not my favorite guy, but Jim Webb is one very sharp, very forceful human being, and he's been left out of this thing totally. He may make a decent impression. Martin O'Malley, he's no slouch either. He's been governor, mayor. He's run things, and he knows this is breakout time for him. I mean, here's a guy, for Pete's sake, not only does he not make it on the national polls, but there have been 2 polls in Maryland where he was governor, one in which he had 2%, the other in which he had 4%. Now, that's a margin of error. It's a real error. So he's got to figure out a way to break through this, and so you may see some fireworks coming out of O'Malley.
I think you will. I think he feels that it's a make-or-break time for him.
Right.
If he should be more seriously considered than he is.
Absolutely, I think so. I mean, he's a serious guy. But, if he does not come out of this, talk about money-raising problems, he hasn't done very well anyway.
Right.
And he may not last very long.
Now, clearly, we've seen it already with Fox first and then CNN with the last debate. CNN tonight is going to want to have a mud fight, right? They're going to want to get the candidates not to talk about the issues, but to attack each other.
Right.
Don't you agree?
I think there'll be some of that.
They're going to try. I'm saying
they need some excitement right out of the box, right?
Sure.
I mean, so they're going to try to now. Whether they're going to do, they say they won't, but what they're going to do? Well, so and so said this about you, so that, which I think is a lot. I mean, that's kind of silly stuff. But
I thought
you
so,
know, if that's the way they got now, well, whether the candidates will bite or not, I don't know.
That's my question.
I don't think so. I mean, look, will they will they have a discussion about Bernie Sanders' record on guns? Sure. Will they have a discussion about Hillary Clinton's so-called flip-flop on the trade agreement? Absolutely, they will. But I don't see these candidates. You know, I mean, look, there's not a Donald Trump in there. There's not a Carly Fiorina in there. Thank God there's not a Ben Carson in there. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, these are much more serious folks. And what I'd like to see come out of this is some issue differences. But folks says, you know, these guys are talking about the problems that affect me. These guys really care about my future and the economic future of this country. And they've got good ideas, and they're debating good ideas. We're not seeing cheap shots. We're not seeing personality conflicts. We're not seeing egos run amok, as we saw in the Republican debate. And there's a real contrast between what Democrats are doing and what Republicans are doing, and I think that helps us towards next November.
It helps them all, yeah, sure. Right, across the board, right. Yeah. But it is legitimate, certainly, for Bernie Sanders to point out, like on the Iraq War. I was always against it. Keystone. I was always against it. TPP. I was always against it. I mean, that's not a personal shot against Hillary.
Not at all. Not at all.
Right?
And he will make that point, and I think he'll repeat it a number of times during the debate. And I think that, you know, it depends how the questions come, but, you know, Hillary will say, hey, look, here's been my stand on guns, you know, for 25 years, and here's, you know, Bernie. You know, and you know, at least I've changed my views on some of these issues when I get more information when things change. Bernie, you don't seem to have changed your position on gun control much. And, you know, they'll go back and forth a little. But I don't think you're going to get the nastiness, the interrupting, and so the fireworks, you know, they'll be 50 feet from the ground, not 1,000 feet.
And on the Republican side, are the three outsiders starting to fade, or is it going to be one outsider taking the grand prize? Peter Fenn is on top of it all here, Democratic strategist, here are in studio with us as our guest at 866-55-PRESS.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you come.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
And 38 seconds to go now, man. Tempest Fugit. Peter Fenn, you've written about the outsiders on the Republican side. It still is strange that Donald Trump, Ben Carson, Carly Fiorina, never one of them having held any public office, and
they combined, they get over 50% of the vote.
50%.
Yeah, right now. I just think this isn't going to last.
They all
Bill.
three fade?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the last one to fade will be Trump, just because he's got more of an enthusiastic base. But, the more the power of the microscope is turned up on these folks, Fiorina's already starting to fall. People are going, wait a second. And her record is pathetic.
Look at her record, a corporate record.
Right,
yeah.
right. Plus, the kinds of things that she says, I would never talk to or negotiate with Putin. I mean, come on. If you were Richard Nixon, you'd say, oh, that's a great idea. How was it that we got negotiation with China? Because I went and talked to him. I mean, the notion you won't talk to people is crazy. And Carson, he's asked a question on NPR about would he vote to raise the debt limit. He didn't know what it is. I mean, he doesn't know what it is. So I think this stuff is all ephemeral and will go. I think the real question is, as you and I were talking about earlier, is Cruz playing this smart? I mean, he doesn't care that he's at 5-8% in the polls right now. Does he see that support from those three and he becomes the ultimate outsider and picks up on that vote? He's raising the money. He's not having any trouble in that department.
But of course, Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush have the same hope that as the others fade, they'll be the ones to emerge.
Right. Right. I mean, I think if you were Rubio or Bush, you would say, okay, these three fade, or if they don't, I'd love to go one-on-one with Trump. Who wouldn't? But if it comes to that, maybe I'm one-on-one with Cruz and the establishment of the Republican Party, who absolutely hates Ted Cruz, says enough already. You're going to ruin our party, and folks move. But you look, they're not the grassroots. They're not the voters out there. They're not the primaries.
Just 30 seconds. Are the Republicans going to pull the plug on the Benghazi committee?
I don't think so. I think they're too far down the line. I think these people overreach. And I tell you, I wrote a column on that too. I think on the 22nd of October, I think Hillary Clinton's going to clean their clock. And they're going to look like a bunch of idiots, which they have been.
Yeah. Yeah, and Kevin McCarthy let the cat out of the bag on that, right?
Who is that exactly?
Well, and now, the reports are Boehner. They were saying, look, should we not talk about this email stuff? And Boehner said, oh, no, go ahead. Let's do this email stuff. And so that's what it really became about.
Yeah, they have made a mess, and they're stuck in it. All right, Peter, enjoy the debate tonight.
Great.
Thanks for coming in this morning. All right.
This is the Bill Press Show.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts, stop the wrecks.
Before now, it's been difficult for criminals like us to know which states have loose gun laws. How would a criminal like me know which states permit me to carry loaded guns in their amusement parks, golf courses, or beaches?
I have some violent friends. We all wear leather jackets and scream at women. And we want to find out which states we can buy and sell guns easily.
CrimAdvisor.com. That's the site to find out where it's easiest for felons and fugitives to buy, carry, and even traffic guns.
That's why I love Arizona, where I can go see the beautiful Grand Canyon and carry a loaded gun without even having to get a background check.
You would fail that background check.
I'm sure of it. Now, what about a road trip? What states can I go to fill my trunk with guns and take it back home for my even more dangerous friends?
CrimAdvisor has a list for that.
That's so unreasonable.
Our traffickers' top 10.
Nevada. What happens in Vegas may have to stay in Vegas, but your guns don't. Bring them over to California and sell them.
The market up there is hungry for guns.
I understand that CrimAdvisor.com will tell me which states really cater to us criminals and creeps, but what about the states where we're not so welcome? The ones that don't get us?
I don't even like saying the name of these states, but California, Connecticut, Maryland, and New York all have laws to keep guns out of the hands of people like us.
I want to shoot California so bad.
Boo, California.
Boo, go home. Wow. CrimAdvisor.com has all this information?
Sure does.
CrimAdvisor.com. Plan your perfect getaway. Oh, like TripAdvisor.
Oh.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
What the frack?
What the frack?
What the frack?
What the frack?
President Obama, are you fracking kidding me?
Reopen the EPA studies in Texas, Wyoming, and Pennsylvania.
Fracking pollutes our oceans.
Fracking poisons our water.
Fracking makes climate change worse.
Fracking relies on toxic chemicals that cause cancer.
Ban fracking now.
Ban fracking now.
Go on. Ban it.
Ban fracking now.
Please.
The most valuable morning radio show, according to The Nation magazine. This is The Bill Press Show.
33 minutes after the hour. Here we go, The Bill Press Show. It is Tuesday, October 13. We're coming to you live from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, our studio on Capitol Hill, where we're brought to you today by the International Association of Machinists. Under President Tom Buffenbarger, the good men and women of the Machinist Union, sharpening America's edge on the global economy, you bet. And find out more about their good work at their website, GOIAM, GOIAM.org. Peter Fenn still with us as a friend of Bill for the entire hour.
Couldn't get rid of me.
Peter, don't want to get rid of you. Tulsi Gabbard, a congresswoman from Hawaii, was unceremoniously disinvited from tonight's debate because she had the audacity to join Martin O'Malley and Bernie Sanders in suggesting maybe there should be more than just 6 debates on the Democratic side. Should there be?
You know, I see no reason not to have more debates. I mean, first of all, I think it helps the party. I mean, it's a great contrast to the Zoo Fest on the Republican side,
Which is a point that Martin O'Malley made. They got all this publicity for crazy stuff.
Unless they do crazy stuff, which I can't imagine it happening. I just think it's a terrific example of what can work and what doesn't work. And you know, look, in the context of what's going on in Washington with the inability of the Republicans to elect a speaker, with this insane group, the Freedom Caucus, you know, the folks are going to have a sense of, really, we want to put these people in power. What people forget, Bill, is that at the beginning of the year, the Republicans were saying, well, we have to show we can govern. We're going to have to show that we can pass legislation. We have to show that we're a responsible party. And you don't hear much of that anymore from that crowd. So, in other words, good, solid debates on issues people care about from the Democrats versus the insanity of the Republicans. Go for it.
Right. Yeah. Maybe, like 22 or 24,
yeah,
or like they had the last time is too many, but
Right.
6
Something in the middle.
certainly may not be enough. It is interesting what you were saying. I mean, that's exactly what Mitch McConnell said. You elect us, put us in charge of the Senate, and we will go back to regular order, show you how to govern, and get things done.
Right.
And then, of course, John Boehner, in 2010, it was, you put us in charge, and it's going to be jobs. That's all we're going to focus on, jobs. And then you get, between Benghazi and emails, it's been like nothing else. And now they want a special committee on Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, right. Well, this select committee stuff, it is reminiscent of the McCarthy era, really. I mean, when you drive something into the ground that way, and my sense of this is the American people do come up with really what Joseph Welch did against Joe McCarthy back in the 50s, which is have you no sense of decency?
Have you no decency? Yeah.
Have you no sense of decency? Because this is just horrible. And the other part of some of this stuff is these are committees. The Planned Parenthood thing was outrageous. These members did not even know what Planned Parenthood did. They didn't even understand Medicaid reimbursement. And if I were I would be so furious at staff and the folks. You put me out there, I look like an idiot. But they don't mind looking like idiots for some reason. So they create another committee, a select committee, to look at Planned Parenthood. It's out of control.
Right.
Totally out of control.
Well, you mentioned we talked just a little bit before the break about the Benghazi hearing, and of course, here is where McCarthy made the ultimate Washington mistake, which was telling the truth. Here's Kevin McCarthy on Sean Hannity a week or so ago.
Everybody thought Hillary Clinton was unbeatable, right? But we put together a Benghazi special committee, a select committee. What are her numbers today? Her numbers are dropping. Why? Because she's untrustable. But no one would have known any of that had happened.
Every time I hear that untrustable, I have to laugh because we know it's not a word.
This guy.
I can see Bill wince when that.
Untrustable. I don't know if your viewers listeners may want to go to a clip of Rachel Maddow where she took all these malapropisms from McCarthy, and in fact, he was giving a speech that was written down, and he still couldn't get it right. He was, he made up words. He couldn't put sentences together. The poor guy. I mean, he may have some learning disability. I don't mean to, that's not, I don't mean to.
He's not the great communicator,
but
certainly.
No, I don't think so. But untrustable. Yeah,
untrustable.
But to pretend that this was not a political witch hunt from the beginning, and now they've taken the special committee on Benghazi, which they really didn't need because they'd already had like 13 hearings before that, plus 2 independent investigations that found there was no wrongdoing at Benghazi.
Right.
including one by the Joint
By
Chiefs.
the Intelligence Committee and the Joint Chiefs, too.
Yeah.
Right.
So they didn't need the special committee on Benghazi, but Boehner said, no, this is a fact-finding commission. It has nothing to do with politics. And then they converted from Benghazi to emails, and then still try to pretend that this is not about
and you've got
taking Hillary down.
The Republican whistleblower from this committee,
yes,
former military, he doesn't like Hillary Clinton, wouldn't vote for her in a million years, but he says, hey, this is wrong. You guys, what you're doing, this is just totally wrong. And boy, he's on the hot seat. Now there are lawsuits going back and forth, and it's ugly. And it should be ugly because
he says
really
he quit because it was getting too political. Right. Trey Gowdy says he fired him because he was too political. So you don't know who to believe. But I wouldn't believe any of the people in charge.
This is indicative of where the Republicans have been for quite a while, Bill. I mean, when they can't talk about issues, when they can't argue out the facts of a case, they question motives, and they know that the only reason that they're going to win, if they could ever pull it off in the next election, is personal attacks, and that's what they're going to continue to do. And I don't think the American people are going to stand for it. I mean, it's too important.
All right. Now, you are one of the most experienced, one of the most astute observers of the political scene I know. So, Peter, you are the only one I know who can explain to me what is the appeal of Wilson.
I had a great partner for a long time in this business, Tom King. And Tom King, when he was talking to clients, used to say, he said, look, politics isn't brain surgery, but brain surgeons don't do it. And I said, Tom, guess what?
Oh, man.
And he may have been a fine brain surgeon, but I don't know what is driving him. I don't know how he can look himself in the mirror and say I should be president of the United States when his knowledge base is so small, and where he sits up there on stage. I mean, you'd have to say to yourself, I'm kind of lost up here. Mm-hmm. I can't engage in this. But for some reason, he's an outsider in an outsider's year. He's a pleasant sounding guy. He's not a screamer or a yeller. He looks kind of normal, and I think people are just sort of like, okay, well, let's give this guy a shot, and that's why he's got
and can say anything. Jamie, I want to play quickly his comment about. Of course, he did say in Roseburg, if everybody had a gun, that would have made a difference, right? Or if kindergarten teachers had a gun, that would have made a difference. And then he extends it to even the Holocaust. His comment that was the answer. Basically, blame the Jews for the Holocaust.
I think the likelihood of Hitler being able to accomplish his goals would have been greatly diminished if the people had been armed.
So simplistic. Yeah, if all the Jews had guns and used them against the Nazis, there would have been no Holocaust.
There is There is a clip, Bill, of Robert F. Kennedy in Oregon, in this town, small town, in 1968, shortly before he was killed, answering a question from someone, and he took on that Holocaust business, 1968, and he just decimated it, and talked about guns, and he was straight up with these people and looked them right in the face, and
try to find that.
It's an amazing clip, and
because that chestnut's been around a long time.
Exactly, that's my point. This is just the absurdity of that is.
But the reality is that this guy, the more outrageous, totally illogical, wild things he says, the better he does. And maybe they figured it out, so he just keeps saying it. Maggie Haberman is one of the best political reporters in the country today, covering the presidential campaign for the New York Times. Joins us in our next segment here with Peter Fenn. Here's a friend of Bill, Democratic political strategist. We'll be right back.
Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To
not look the other way.
It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us,
to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Hey, Free Speech TV world, it's Mama and the Mooks here at the Stephanie Miller Show.
Hello. Good morning.
You know, the Seinfeld was about nothing. I think the Stephanie Miller Show is about everything.
A little bit
it?
everything.
Yeah, a
it's
little bit.
kind of everything like thrown into a blender and we hit frappe.
Right.
With wine poured in.
Right. Senators, fart jokes, politics, pop culture, entertainment.
Drinking.
Drinking, random stray thoughts. It's what all the hip kids are talking about.
Yep.
We have the smartest, funniest people in the country on this show, do we not?
We absolutely do.
Right?
And our sexy liberal army of callers call in every day to tell us all about it.
There you go. And some right-wingers that Travis particularly enjoys talking to.
They're my favorites.
Okay. You can watch us every weekday from 9 to noon Eastern or 6 to 9 Pacific, which is really early. But we still, we try to, we're still pulling in people like Rob Reiner, Lily Tomlin, Frangela, you name it. You can only get it here at the Stephanie Miller Show. Mama, Mooks, fancy celebrities.
And everything.
And fart jokes.
Free Speech TV.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
Help keep all the presidential candidates straight with your progressive headquarters for the 2016 election. This is The Bill Press Show.
14 minutes before the top of the hour, 13, make it up before the top of the hour. Peter Fenn is here as a friend of Bill for the entire hour. And as we've been talking, this is probably the weirdest, wildest, craziest political season that we've ever seen, with so many candidates on one side, led by on the Republican side, led by three outsiders. The first big debate of the Democratic Party tonight, where a Democratic socialist is actually just about outperforming or keeping pace with the leading Democrat in the country. And then at the same time, Peter, you've got a whole group gathering together yesterday or over the last couple of days saying we don't want any part of either house. We want everybody to just get along. No labels. We just want to all get along. For somebody like Maggie Haberman covering this for the New York Times, we've never had so much fun in our life. And Maggie joins us on our news line. Hi, Maggie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
All right. You were up there at this No Labels event. Let's start there. Are they serious? Are they?
I covered it from here, just to be clear, on the live stream. But they are, they're serious. The No Labels concept has been kicking around for several years now. And it's essentially a vehicle by which you're seeing John Huntsman and Senator Lieberman stay in the news. What was interesting about this concept is this is like, to your point about why this is a crazy, unpredictable election cycle, it's a deeply factionalized partisan cycle. And so the idea of people coming up to a No Labels conference, which involves not invoking a lot of partisanship and laying down your swords and sort of focusing on fixing problems. There was a sign behind candidates that told them to stop fighting and start fixing. And then you have Donald Trump, who has risen a lot in part on the rhetoric of outrage, come up, and he spent 15 minutes of his speech. He clearly was trying not to do his normal stump speech, which includes a lot of touchstones, but one of them is building a wall along the border of Mexico and talking about how the United States is doing terribly, and he has a real sort of a message of anger, and it is channeling anger that is out there. So I think in order to do it, to sort of avoid doing that right away, he spent 15 minutes talking about his acquisition of a famous ice skating rink in Central Park in New York in the 80s, and explaining how this was an example of how people come together and getting government work. At one point, he got very granular about reconstruction specifics. He said, do you know what brine is? It's water with salt in it. It just was not normally what you hear on a political speech. He was by far the oddest fit of the 8 presidential candidates who spoke at this event.
8 all Republican candidates, right?
No, it was a mix. There was Jim Webb via a live stream.
People.
Bernie Sanders. Hillary Clinton did not participate. Hillary Clinton was in Vegas and showing up to protest on behalf of union workers outside of Trump's hotel.
Outside of Trump's hotel, right? Exactly. So, we were just talking a little bit earlier, Maggie, on the 3 outsiders dominating the Republican Party. Have they peaked? I mean, is the outsider movement past? Is one of the traditional establishments ever going to emerge? How do you read it?
This is a primary that has 15 people in it, so Trump is able to be winning because no one else is winning. I think if you see a couple of candidates who are appealing, I think if Mike Huckabee were to drop out, I think that would shift things in Iowa a bit. I think that it would probably help Ben Carson or Ted Cruz. If it helped Ben Carson could probably overtake Trump. But I'm not seeing any indication yet of things returning to what we consider a normal paradigm. The next debate is on October 28th, the Republican debate, and that might be a bit clarifying. Mm-hmm. But as of right now, look, everybody predicts that Trump's going to get out, and Trump clearly has considered the factors that would make him leave a race. He says he's not a masochist. He's not going to keep marching on indefinitely if he's doing poorly. But if the field stays this split, and if there's no event that changes things, and if the politics are this hardened and calcified, then Trump could win states. We're running. The clock is ticking here. There's less than 4 months to the caucuses. So, Trump is not someone who I think at the end of the day will be great in Iowa. I do think that will change, but he could do well elsewhere. Iowa is just it's very, very conservative Republican electorate in the caucuses, and so I think at some point, either because ads will be aired against Trump. Talking about how he's a former Democrat and so forth. Yeah. I think that could be a changing factor.
Peter? Maggie, this is Peter. Fenn, don't you think that there's a real possibility that Ted Cruz has sort of a master strategy here, that he's raising substantial funds, which people kind of forget about. He's got organizations in these states, and he doesn't care that he's sitting at 5 or 8% in the polls. He has a sense that he's going to be able to pick up that outsider vote, that he's going to be able to pick up votes from Carson, from Fiorina, and from Trump as they slide because of his outsider reputation.
I absolutely think that's right. I think that one of the most interesting things about the Q3 fundraising numbers that we've heard so far, and they're not all out, but was that Ted Cruz outraised Rubio 2-1. We don't know how much was for the general election versus the primary, but that was pretty striking. I think that Cruz will, in part because he's got these well-funded super PACs, in part because he has, to your point, a low-dollar donor base. Cruz is going to keep going for a while, and I do think that he is positioning himself to scrape up the support from these others as they drift away.
And the other thing that with Cruz is he's laid a little low too in the debates, but once these folks begin to drop out, And I think he picks up some Paul support, too, by the way, when Paul goes. But it's a smaller group in those debates. And, he's very, very good in those situations.
Right.
Very good. And I'm not saying he's going to be the nominee, but I think that he's the guy to kind of keep an eye on here in the next couple of months.
All right.
I certainly think he's a sleeper candidate. Agreed.
Yeah. And speaking of the debates, I just want to remind everybody looking at the CNN clock, 11 hours, now 36 minutes and 19 seconds before tonight's debate. Hey, Maggie, just about 30 seconds. Hillary going to do well tonight?
She's done well historically in debates. I'd be surprised if she doesn't, but she has not done this in a while, and she hasn't been a politician in a long time. She's had a pretty rigorous debate prep process, so we'll see.
Yeah. Okay, Maggie, great to have you with us today. Thanks so much, and good work on the road.
Asking.
Maggie Haberman from the New York Times. Peter Fenn, Democratic Stress Friend Forever. Thank you, Peter, for coming in.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Great time.
We'll come back, wrap things up here on Debate Day.
Like politics? Then like The Bill Press Show on Facebook. This is The Bill Press Show.
It is possible to read the history of this country as one long struggle to extend the liberties established in our Constitution to everyone in America. In other words, who, according to our laws and culture, gets to be considered a person? The law creates legal personhood, and movements create law and change culture. So, how have the courts passed laws to shape our culture? That history goes way back before Citizens United. 1819, Dartmouth College versus Woodward, Supreme Court case, turned a corporate charter from a government-granted charter to a contract. This ruling gave corporations standing within the Constitution. 1886, Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad. Though the court did not rule on corporate personhood, the decision was subsequently cited as a precedent to hold that a private corporation is entitled to the same 14th Amendment rights of due process and equal protection as human beings. This makes it impossible for us to make laws that treat local businesses any differently than giant multinational corporations, even if their business practices are deemed to be harmful to workers, the environment and communities, or if they have a history of violating the law. Hale versus Henkel, 1906. The court granted corporations the Fourth Amendment search and seizure protection. Dodge versus Ford Motor Company, 1919. The Michigan Supreme Court says the business corporation is organized and carried on primarily for the profit of the stockholders. Stockholder primacy is established. The purpose of the corporation, according to the court, is no longer to serve the public good, as it had been. It is now to maximize profit for shareholders above all else. Pennsylvania Coal Company versus Mahon, 1922. Corporations get the Fifth Amendment takings clause, meaning if you pass a regulation that impacts a corporation's ability to make a profit, that is deemed a taking, and they can sue for the right to future profits lost. This creates a chilling effect, and local and state governments become much more hesitant to pass laws in the public interest for fear that corporations can claim loss of potential profits that cities and states will be on the hook to pay. Buckley versus Vallejo, 1976. The Supreme Court rules that spending money to influence elections is protected under the First Amendment, in effect saying that money is speech. Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission, 2010.
Today, the Supreme Court of Chief Justice John Roberts declared that because of the alchemy of its 19th century predecessors in deciding that corporations had all the rights of people, any restrictions on how these corporate beings spend their money on political advertising are unconstitutional.
The court's ruling threatens to undermine the integrity of elected institutions across the nation. It's a rejection of the common sense of the American people.
The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is the Bill Press Show.
Well, we'll make today's parting shot just a reminder, to, as if you needed one, to watch tonight's debate. It is on CNN, starting at 8:30 Eastern. And unlike the two Republican debates tonight, you're going to see 5 serious candidates for president. Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, Martin O'Malley, Lincoln Chafee, and Jim Webb. They're going to be talking about the issues, not engaging in personal attacks. I think we'll learn a lot, and we'll talk all about it right here again tomorrow. Come on back.
This is the Bill Press Show.